treat him as such. I was like, but you force him into making mistakes like they did. They forced him last week into making some throws that he wasn't used to making. They took away the easy stuff, and I think that's what we have to do in order to have a good time, in order to have a good game and a successful game. The other part of that as well is we should actually be playing the Cowboys if you want to be truthful about it. Truthful about it, when you look at it, Dak Prescott threw a couple of untimely picks in those situations, and then also their kicker, they wasn't the highest on their kicker, which probably dictated a lot of the calls going throughout the game. But it was right there for the taking, and it was like one of those emotional games. It's like it was an emotional and a hard-fought game. So I'm looking for us to come out and it to be tough early on, but then the victor should rear its ugly head by the third quarter.
One of the things that I think is interesting about this game is that the Eagles have not really been, they had to end up winning the last game to get home field in the number 1 seed, but
right.
They haven't really been pressed into like the big situation where somebody's really got to make a play. I mean, they snuck out the game against Indianapolis on the road. They came back and won that with a fourth quarter drive.
But when you don't have to,
right?
It's like the game in Indianapolis, we were missing a couple of guys. If you look at it, the times when we were pressed into the information, into what you're speaking of, it's been when the whole band has not been there.
Right.
The whole band is there now. So I'm expecting us to I'm expecting us to come out and put a foot in the run sideways to the next leg. And it's going to be a hard fought game because you don't get to this point in the season and not be a good team. So it's not going to be like last week where the Giants obviously gave up in the second half, and we scored a bunch of touchdowns and stuff. It's not going to be like that. It's still going to be hard fought, I think, all the way up until the end.
All right, so this is Reality Check, the ultimate Eagles pregame show here live at the Mudhen. And if you're here at the Mudhen, or if you're watching our live video stream on the Coast, on the 98.7 The Coast Facebook page, you might be wondering what exactly is Hollis Thomas wearing. So this is his flower power get up.
Well, yeah, it's the fertilization. It was
right when Nick Sirianni came in and people criticized him about what he said, fertilizing the flower.
Yes.
Now it's blooming.
Now it's blooming, and we're in the NFC Championship
That's
game.
right.
And I figure it's like my shout out to my legends, Birds legends. They actually got me this in the Denver game, and I've been wearing it off and on ever since. But it's I try to wear it the first segment of any show that I do.
Yeah, and it's
especially when we talk about the Birds.
Yeah, and it's brought good luck.
Yes,
it's brought good luck to this point. So they got some giveaways here at the Mudhen. We've got some T-shirts here. We'll be giving some of those away. Hollis has a
few pictures here.
A few pictures here. He'll sign them. And when we're on a break, if you're here at the Mudhen, you want to stop by, say hello to Hollis, get a quick picture taken. He's certainly open to that. And and we're here till 3:00. So this is in the Super Bowl era, Hollis. This is the 8th time the Eagles have been in a conference championship game, and you played in 4 of those, I believe.
I only played in 1.
You were on the team for 4 of them.
I was on the team for 4 of them, and I played. The only one I played in was the one we won.
One you won, yeah.
And I'm not just tooting my own horn and saying that I was the reason why, but that's a whole other story.
Hey, facts are facts. You played, they won. You played, you won. You didn't play, you lost.
It was a great time, and I think a lot of people remember that, just kind of getting over the hump, because with that team, when I was being a part of that team, it was just like we were right there every year. Like it was given that we were going to get to the playoffs, but then it was, once we get to the playoffs, what were we going to do?
What is it like? Because I almost equate this day as, I think a lot of people feel this way. Maybe it's because it's the 2-week break or whatever, but this is a lot of people's favorite day of football, these 2 conference championship games. So and obviously winning the Super Bowl is the ultimate goal, but
Correct.
What is it just to get to the Super Bowl? To win this game and just to get to the Super Bowl, it's got to be unbelievable.
Well, you got to realize too, we had been to 3 straight and won the 4th one. So it's kind of like it was getting the monkey off your back. Mm-hmm. It's getting over the hump. Actually, it's just like Nick Sirianni actually said. It's like we're trying to get to the top of the mountain, but don't look up until we get there. Mm-hmm. It's like if you make that fatal mistake and look up, then somebody's going to kick you in the face and knock you back down.
Right.
And that's what was happening to us those first three times. You're like, oh, look, we're at the top. Oh, no, you're not. Pow, right in the kisser, right back down. And but to get up there, is tremendous. I was like, but you can't look up until you actually win the Super Bowl.
And obviously the last time the Eagles were in the conference championship, they won 38-7 over Minnesota in 2017.
Yes.
And they obviously went on to beat New England in the Super Bowl. But are you surprised that things have happened this quickly for this franchise under Sirianni?
No, I was one of the people that said I felt like this year we were going to make a deep playoff run. I said last year we were going to get into the playoffs and get our butts kicked, and
exactly what happened.
And
right.
I was basing it off of the progression of our quarterback and the weapons that how he was putting around him, and the defense in which the defensive structure in which they were building. They were building a championship caliber, but when you do that and you build that, it's not a long drawn out process. It's just like when you look at the Bengals. They went from drafting the first overall pick as a quarterback, him getting hurt that very first year, then the next year having the first overall pick, him getting one of his guys, and then going to the Super Bowl within 3 years. So it's like, that's what I look at this team as. And then we have the general that we have, the quarterback that we have. Everybody's always trying to nitpick at his style. He runs too much. He doesn't have accuracy. Well, he shut everybody up, and we're here now.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
It's one of those things where I'm looking for him to shut people up at least 2 more times.
Yeah, right. That's all he's got to do.
That's all he's got to do.
So just to give you some nuts and bolts here, this is actually only the second time the 49ers and Eagles have played in a playoff game.
What was the other time?
1996.
I know. I was there.
That's right. And
Jeffrey Osborne sang the national anthem.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a rookie.
San Francisco beat the Eagles 14-0. It's the only time the Eagles have been shut out in a playoff game.
Yeah, we were in the red zone 3 or 4 times.
Were you really?
Threw a pick and fumble. Ty Detmer, dadgummit the mule. It still sticks in my craw because that was a stellar defensive game plan that they came up with to try to stop Steve Young and their high-powered offense.
Yeah.
And we were able to hold them to 14
points. Yeah.
So.
The last time San Francisco and the Eagles played was in week 2 of last season.
Yes, I remember that.
Right, and the 49ers won 17-11, so another low-scoring game. But that was when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. So,
right. If you look at that game too, we kind of had them on the ropes, and then we inexplicably gave up a couple of long drives, and they just took over from there.
Right, and that game was at home, I believe.
Yes, it was. It was in Philly.
Right. So, so there's a lot to talk about with this game. Obviously, we'll get to a lot of it as we go forward here. But the Eagles, as I said, this is their 8th conference championship game. They're 3-4 in conference championship games. So
youngest tandem, youngest quarterback tandem to ever be in the versus
Purdy and Hurts. Yes.
Yep.
So they're going to write their own chapter in the history in the history here, especially for the winner.
Yeah, they also. I think it's they went against each other, Oklahoma and Iowa. When he was at Oklahoma and Iowa
and
State.
I think Oklahoma won by a point,
yeah,
right?
By a point. It was like 48-47 or something.
Yeah, it was like a basketball score.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
it was a high scoring affair.
Yeah. So we're live at the Mudhen here. We're here till 3 o'clock, and should be a fun day, fun afternoon here as everybody gets ready for this conference championship game. And a lot of people, Hollis, all eagled up with their gear on, and that's nice to see.
It's nice to see Eagles gear.
Yes.
None of that 49er crap around here.
That's right. But there is a local tie with the 49ers. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
He's a pigeon as well. So.
Yeah. If he's not an Eagle, he's a pigeon.
Yeah, he's a pigeon.
Yeah, so the first time the Eagles were in a conference championship game was when, of course, the famous win in 1980. The Eagles beat Dallas 20-7.
Yeah, that had to be sweet.
Yeah, and then obviously the 4 that you were a part of the team for, even though you didn't play, you were injured, but for 3 of them. But lost to St. Louis 29-24, and that was, and if I remember from that was when the Rams were
the greatest show on turf.
Exactly, and the Eagles almost went in there. You almost went in there and beat them.
Yeah, we played them early in the season to overtime.
Right.
And we felt like we could beat them. I was actually hurt the NFC Championship game. I was pissed too because I was watching the game. I was calling out the run plays from the sideline. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
And it was like your backup is in there, but it's like it's not you.
Yeah.
And then you can't. You don't want to just start telling him stuff. He's like, "Shut up and let me play."
Yeah.
But you don't want that to happen. But it was gut wrenching to watch that game like that.
Yep. And then 2002 was the infamous last game at the Vet, 27-10 loss to Tampa. Mm-hmm. And then 2003, Carolina beat the Eagles 14-3.
Came in there, pushed our receivers around.
Yes, and I remember how cold it was. I was at the game.
Well, it was cold. Myself and Derek Burgess were there for like the first half, and then when they made a wish with Donovan, when the Carolina Panthers hit him late and made a wish with him, and
there was no flag on the play.
There was no flag on the play.
I remember that. Yeah.
And my buddy Marco Coleman was a seasoned vet. He wanted to get in the game because he wanted to exact what we call street justice.
Yes.
On Jake Delhomme, because he said he didn't feel anybody else on the defense was man enough, had enough, to do it.
Yeah.
So, and he was correct. So then they didn't allow them to get in the game, but that was one of those games where you hit my quarterback like that, I'm gonna knock your quarterback out like that.
Yeah. So then you lose that game, and then the following year you come back and you beat Atlanta 27-10, and that was when Michael Vick was in his prime.
Yeah.
And you really shut him down. And what was the atmosphere like at the Link that day when you won the football game?
Leading up to the game,
yeah.
they had volunteers show out the stadium.
That's right. I remember that. That's right.
Remember it snowed like, dude, to get it as clean as they got it, and as fast as they did. I was like, you couldn't do nothing but win. And the atmosphere is like versus. I have been there times before as an injured player, so it's like you don't really feel anything because you're not playing. Mm-hmm. But the energy that the crowd bring. Man, and then those first few hits on we were corralling Vic in the game plan that Jim Johnson had in place to corral him and not let him get loose on us. Whoa.
And then you win that game, you go to the Super Bowl, you lose 24-21 to the New England Cheaters.
Yeah,
right?
to the Bill Belichick and that was part of their spy.
They knew all your plays, and you still only lost by 3.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the worst part of that, I think for myself and the fans, was one of the final drives that we had. Bill Belichick was on the sidelines like, are we ahead? Or are we behind? Because our offense was moseying around like they had a bunch of time.
Right. I remember that. Right.
We were getting pissed on the sidelines.
Yeah. So then the next time the franchise in a conference championship game was 2008, and the Eagles lost to Arizona 32-25. And what I remember I don't remember that much from that particular game, but what I remember is that about 6 weeks earlier, the Eagles throttled Arizona in a regular season game and then lost the conference championship game.
Well, the only thing I remember about that game is one of the interviews was when I left the field, we were ahead.
Yeah. That's right.
I was like, really, man?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, of course, the next time that we just talked about was when they beat Minnesota in 2017 to go to and eventually win the Super Bowl. And then, obviously, today is
exercising the demons and beating Bill Belichick.
Yeah. So and it's interesting. Not that it really matters, but if people that are in the stats. The Eagles are actually 24-24 as a franchise all time in playoff games.
Oh, right.
So they can go over 500 if they win today and stay over 500 if they win today and win the Super Bowl. So that would be pretty cool.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so this is Reality Check, the ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're live at the Mudhen Brewing Company on Rio Grande Avenue in Wildwood. We're here till 3 o'clock. Stop by the table if you're here, see Hollis Thomas, take a picture, get an autograph. We'll be more than happy to do that. We're up against our first break. We'll be back right after this on 98.7 The Coast. All right, back on Reality Check, the ultimate Eagles pregame show, live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. I'm Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran, 10 great years with the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's always a pleasure to be here with Hollis Thomas, and we're hanging out till 3 o'clock. I believe, Hollis, you're going to stick around and watch the game here? No, that's right. You got to get on the road, right?
I'm going to stick around and watch a little bit of it,
and you got to get on the road.
I'm going to watch the beginning and then get on the road back to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Before they close all the roads.
Exactly. Yeah. They were talking about shutting down a lot of Center City already.
Well, I saw them. I was going through the city yesterday. Actually, it was the day before yesterday, and I saw them making concessions and setting up those gates and greasing the
greasing the poles.
Yeah, so to speak, poles. They was greasing them all up and down up and down Broad Street. I was like, oh, okay. So it was if you look at it, there was a lot of people out there watching the drone show, too. So with good reason.
Well,
and also too is like it's going to be when this does settle. There's going to be some jubilation, especially since those 49er fans have been making their way around the greater Philadelphia area and trying to make their presence known by putting they put the 49ers stuff on the Rocky statue.
We know how that worked out for Minnesota last time.
then they redid the Rocky running through the city and the farmers market over there with Brock Purdy's face on Rocky, calling him Brocky.
Yep.
So then Debo Samuel saying that the link isn't that loud. It's like our stadium is loud. Our fans are better than yours. It's like, oh God. Yeah. It's just all the stuff you should not be worried about.
We had someone ask during the break here at the Mudhen about some of the pregame rituals, superstitions, and we talked about this on the air last week. But your big one was just to have the same breakfast every week on game day.
Yes, bacon and eggs.
Now, would you eat that at the stadium?
No, I would eat it. We would have a pregame meal or breakfast.
Together, because usually you're at the hotel, right? Even for a home game.
Even before a home game, we do the same thing. The funniest part about that too is I omitted the last part. Is like when we on an away game, I always found the IHOP.
But you had to have that breakfast at an IHOP.
Yeah, because it was like I could have tried the Waffle House one time and we got throttled.
Yeah,
and I think it was mainly because I ordered some pancakes. He's like, "Where's the Waffle House?" I was like, "Sue, you're against pancakes, huh?" And being a young adult, you don't know that they don't have pancakes.
Yeah.
Mr. Waffle House was like, "Yeah, but," I was like, "Yeah, but IHOP has waffles." Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying for inquiring minds want to know. But it's like I would always find the IHOP and stayed away from the Waffle House because we got throttled the one time that I couldn't find the IHOP and I went to Waffle House.
Well,
so it's like he was asking about all the superstitions that are going around because a lot of guys you'll see have a lucky pair of socks. The days of lucky socks and lucky equipment are gone,
right?
Due to the disease and the funk. It's like,
you can't wear that every week.
You have got to watch that, my brother.
That's right. That's right. So what is this is. It's a 3 o'clock start, obviously, today. So that makes it different. It's not a time that you normally play at. So, what time would the players be arriving at the stadium today?
2 hours before the game.
They'll get there about 1?
Yeah, about 1. But some guys will get there a little early.
Right.
You would always tell the guys who are married because they get there like 3 or 4 hours before. You get there, they're always like, "Yeah, I've been there for 2 hours." It's like, yeah, I could tell. You built the camp. He built the campsite by his locker. So.
I actually thought it would be earlier. So it's only about 2 hours beforehand you get there, huh?
Well, yeah, you get there too. Yeah. Well, I think they probably should be going over there now.
Yeah.
But on the home games, obviously now you have, especially. Well, let me take that back. When on an away game, you have buses that take you over to the stadium. So there's a first set of buses and a second set of buses.
Right.
So you got to get on one or the other.
Right.
And so you're normally over there a couple hours before the game because you want to get dressed and stuff. But you want to get there. To me, I get there 3-4 hours before the game sometimes. But it's already guys already there. That's to be, as I said, you can always tell who's married because they've been over there probably since the beginning of the day.
Well, I guess it's easier if you're single and you're by yourself. You can focus a little at home.
Yeah, you can focus.
It's probably hard for that guy with the kids running around and everything else.
Take out the trash. What? No, but Yeah, but I normally, if you look at the board, it's like you got to get there 2 hours before the game at least, especially on home games. But given the magnitude of this one, and as I was leaving the city this morning, there was already tailgating already happening.
Oh, yeah.
I think the tailgating started at like 7 or 8 o'clock. I think they opened a lot at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, so it should be interesting. And I think is there a Wings game or something?
I don't know, but they took advantage of it last week. We talked about that,
yeah.
remember?
Hey, well, my buddies from the podcast who do 4th of John, they took the liberty of buying some tickets to some type of lacrosse thing
Yes.
or something, and they
So they could get in. They could get in the lot earlier.
They get in a lot earlier. Plus, it was $20 cheaper.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
So they were able to set up shop over there. So some people have been there since early this morning and had what we call beer and eggs.
Yes.
So.
Yes, and some of those tailgates are very, very elaborate. I mean, you'll see people bring bands in, and, you know, the setup that they have there is
tremendous.
It really is.
It's a physical anomaly because he was like, man, how did you get a big screen TV in there?
Right. All right, so you know, you have a kid in Brock Purdy here who kind of came out of nowhere.
Right.
You know, last pick in the draft when he came out, and you know, he really caught fire toward the end of the regular season. And there's people saying that, you know, he'd be a great story to get to the Super Bowl and all that, but you know, I saw a couple little cracks in him the 2 playoff games.
Well, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think he's a really good kid, and I think he's good at what they have him doing. But some teams are going to have to put him on notice and see if he's that guy. And I think we're just the team to do it, to give him some disguises and coverages, make him throw the ball when he doesn't want to. He continues to back when you're putting pressure on him. I don't know if you notice he's often backpedaling like 15 yards or so, and then trying to get rid of the ball, and then trying to throw the ball across his body. Hopefully, I think we're going to make him pay for some of those type of mistakes. I think he's been getting away with them for quite some time. So it's we have to make them one-dimensional though.
Your thoughts on the Eagles defensive line against the 49ers offensive line, and because obviously if they sacked Daniel Jones 5 times last week,
right.
and the Eagles set a franchise record this year with 70 sacks. That's obviously a place
and it's an NFL record, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So what, you know, it's got to be a big part of this game, and if they can get to him and get to him consistently, the Eagles have to have a very, very good chance to win the football game.
Well, just remember the name Spencer Buford. It's Burford or Buford, Burford.
Right.
So, he's a rookie guard that they have that he's got a bunch of penalties this year, holding penalties, pre-snap penalties. He's gotten rid of some of it lately, but I feel like our defensive line is going to put him on notice to start making them make those same mistakes. And you have a second-year guard in Aaron Banks, who's my other pigeon. And they really only have the center and Trent Williams are really the only guys who are not pigeons. If you look at their offensive line, and they're pretty much the glue that's holding the offensive line together and getting those guys to come on with it. Come on. Now the kid Mike
McGlinchey.
Yeah, there's a glitch in the matrix. He's a bit of a turnstile. So it's like I understand the home product cheering section, but yeah, right. We're gonna run through him just like we ran through everybody else. He's on the pigeons list. So when you look at it, I feel like we have an advantage. Defensive line, our defensive line versus their offensive line, because they have a few holes in there that were being taken advantage of earlier in the season. That's why they started losing. But then they built a little bit of something. So all we have to do is get them off of that, and I think we have the waves of guys to do it.
There's some speculation. Elijah Mitchell, who's one of their secondary backs, may not play today. He's questionable. You know, not a terrific performer over the course of the year, but he did run for 51 yards last week.
Right.
So that was actually his best game of the year.
Well, he's been in and out of the lineup due to injuries.
Right.
And Debo Samuels and McCaffrey, they didn't practice a couple of 1 or 2 days this week.
Right.
Due to nursing injuries. So that's why I'm saying they're coming in here, and this is going to be a nice physical contest, and we'll see who wants to play.
Are you surprised at this point in the season? How, and we know they're all banged up a little bit, but generally speaking, how healthy the Eagles are at this time of year.
I think, I'm extremely surprised. I think some people were talking about this team versus the other, versus the 17 team.
Yeah.
I was like, the only thing that's missing is health. The 17 team, we overcame so much. We had so many different people were injured. This team is almost fully healthy. It's like I said, last week we had the whole band on offense was back in town.
Right.
And now we got them again for a second week in a row. And it's going to be great to see everybody together. I think health is the most important part of us winning this year. Staying healthy throughout the year, and then at times when some guys were like the times that we had some rough times, that we were able to still put some wins together and not falter, and then wait to the guy and hold down the fort until the other guys got back.
Jalen Hurts, how healthy you think he is? You think he's inching closer to 100%?
You're never going to be 100%.
Not at this time of year,
Not
right?
At this time of year.
Right.
It's the fact that he's feeling good and he's out there playing. It's like you don't see him ailing from anything.
Didn't seem to be limited last week.
And so I think they're good. I think because I found out that Anita Baker was singing the national anthem
Today?
Yeah, today.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah, apparently that's one of Jalen Hurts' favorite singers. One of her songs is "Give You the Best That I Got."
Yes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's a bit of a subliminal message. If he had anything to do with it, it is a bit of a subliminal message to me and the rest of the Eagles fan base that he's about to give us the best that he's got. So, I'm anxious to see what. It's going to be kind of interesting as well too, because you have to look at through the outside chatter. It's like when I say outside chatter, their defensive coordinator is the top candidate for the Houston Texans job. You don't think he's thinking about that?
Right. True.
It's like all our guys are focused on winning the title. It's like so, and not only that, their defensive coordinator has to worry about almost pitching a shutout due to what's on the other side. And with the weapons that we have offensively, it is going to be awfully hard to do that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, it was one last part. A.J. Brown was a little myth last week. He only got 3 receptions. What do you think is going to happen this week?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, he could be in for a big one today.
Yeah.
And speaking of the passing game, when you get into January, obviously in the Northeast here, you worry about weather.
Mm-hmm.
But today's probably about as good as it can get in Philadelphia in January. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be over 50 degrees at
52,
kickoff.
I know
they said there's a slight chance of showers at some point.
15%
Yeah,
chance.
very slight chance.
15% chance of showers.
And I think they're saying that by the end of the game, the temperature will still be in the upper 40s. So
at the end of the game, the temperature will be 48 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, I always watch weather.
Okay, you got it. You're all over the weather.
The barometric pressure steadily rises, and the dew point is holding steady.
Yeah,
it's about 50% humidity outside.
So the interesting thing there is that I got to think that this happened, and the coaches are going to look ahead too. But you put game plans in all week, and then you can have the weather just throw that out. And that's not going to happen today.
Well, if you're at home, even when you put in game plan, you make concessions for what you see and what you feel.
Right.
That's going to be out. So I think that whatever game plan you come with is one that you can go with due to the weather being mild.
So it's certainly going to translate to the crowd will be. I guess it's one less thing the crowd has to worry about.
Well, yeah,
they don't have to worry about being all bundled up and staying warm. They're just,
They could just make noise without any repercussions, without being cold. It's like it's one of those things where sometimes you have to bring a blanket or drink cocoa and bring a bunch of extra stuff.
Yep.
Now you don't have to make all those concessions. You can just go out there and have a good time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When the 2004 game that you played in and beat Atlanta.
Right.
What were the pregame introductions like? And I think they only introduced one side, right? Offense or defense?
I can't recall.
Yeah. You don't even remember?
I don't even remember. It was like that part is a blur.
So focused?
I was so focused in that game. It was I think they may have introduced the offense.
Okay.
I think they introduced the offense.
All right. So you didn't get the proverbial,
the cheers.
individual run out the tunnel.
I got my individual stuff when I made a play.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
You know, if you want individual accolades, you have to create
Make a
yourself.
play.
Make a play, sucker.
That's right. That's right. All right, so we're live at the Mudhen, and they're doing giveaways here at the Mudhen. The kids can get their face painted. We've got some things to give away as well. Hollis will be happy to take some pictures for you and sign some photos that he has to give away. And should be continue a fun afternoon here at the Mudhen as crowd's starting to fill in here. Yeah, starting to fill in a little bit here.
People are starting to wake up and get out and know that the game is about to start.
That's right. A lot of people wearing the Eagles gear. That's good to see. All right, so we are up against the break, and we will be back right after this. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show, live on 98.7 The Coast. All right, back at the Mudhen Brewing Company. I'm Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran, 10 great years spent with the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're here previewing the Eagles-San Francisco game in the NFC Championship game this afternoon at 3 o'clock. And, you know, who better to have breaking this down than a guy who won a conference championship game, was part of a conference championship victory for the Eagles and played in the Super Bowl back in it was 2005, but it was the 2004 season.
Yeah, I did play in another conference championship game with the Saints. Also,
oh, that's right. That's right.
But when I got traded, the immediate the Hurricane Katrina team.
Right.
We played in the NFC championship game versus the Bears.
Yeah.
And they are who they thought they were. No,
yeah.
that was that season. But we were just talking to one of the fans, and they were talking about getting rid of the jitters. And I was laughing because when I first started coming here, I was coming across the bridge, and I saw just a bunch of Eagles fans running across the bridge.
Yeah.
And now I know what it was for.
That's what it was for.
It's like run off the jitters.
That's it.
It's like so many people have texted me and direct messaged me. It's like ease my nerves. It's like, how am I supposed to ease your nerves? Tell me we're going to win. Okay, we're going to win.
Yeah, exactly. Simple as
Does that
that.
help? No. I was like, so what you want me to do?
I think sometimes you have to look at it, and people in this region live and die with the Eagles and all the Philly sports teams, really.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when you get older, you put it a little bit more in the perspective. You have a different perspective as an ex-player. But I always look at it as whether they win or lose, I still got to get up and go to work tomorrow anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a little rougher.
Right,
but
exactly.
When they win, it makes everything. It makes the ice cream taste a lot
yes,
better.
It does. Yes, it does. All right, so did want to get into the 49ers defense.
Yeah.
Here,
Stellar.
number one in the league in yards allowed per game.
Yep.
300, right at 301 yards. What makes them so good?
The front seven. Mm-hmm. The front seven is one of the best front sevens in the NFL. Well, obviously they're number one, but it's their front seven, and especially when I say front seven, they on the back end they're decent at the corner position, but their safeties make them be able to do a lot of different type things. One guy stays close to the line, and I think that's the key to making the team one-dimensional and taking away that short passing game. Because like I said, that's why when we get into this part. The way that we hit these guys is over the top. If you look at their last two playoff games, yeah, DK Metcalf, he was killing number 7. He was killing Ward over the top. It's like once you hit these guys over the top, it takes the jam out of the donut. So it's like if we can beat their front seven and run and establish them, making their safeties come inch closer and closer to the line. And then exactly because they're not going to go away from running man on the outside. They showed that in the past 2 games. They're going to stick with those guys, and they're going to do what they do. I was like, it's worked for some success for the most part, but I don't think they've come against the Batmans.
Yes,
come against both Batmans and also the tight end who we got, which they do have a great tight end as well. But it's like I feel like we got like the most skilled players and now. That three-headed monster at running back, it's like Miles Sanders sets the table, and everybody else just kind of eats. He sets the table, he sets everything up. I was like, I especially loved last week what we did with the one drive. We gave him the ball like 6 or 7 straight times, and then he came off because the crowd was yelling for Boston Scott, and he came off, and Boston Scott ran it in. That was great. It's like I feel like that's the way we're gonna win this game. We're gonna have to put them on notice and keep their defense off balance. They can't dictate to us what we're going to do.
So their San Francisco only is averaging conceding 77 rushing yards a game.
Right.
And that was second to Tennessee. We all saw what the Eagles did to Tennessee this year too.
Exactly.
So
I think the one part I think that we also have too is our offensive line, the consistency and the continuity that our offensive line has built over the years of being under Stoutland. If you look at it, anytime another guy comes in, you kind of don't miss a beat. It's like early on when they were first together and stuff. You had what's my guy Kelsey. It seemed like he was playing kind of bad because he was trying to make concessions for the 2 guys next to him to get them on the same page. Now that you have guys that know what they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do it, you see how much better he's playing. You saw the dominant performance he had last week. So I'm looking for that, but I'm also looking for DeBeco Ryan, who also played here, who's the defensive coordinator. I'm looking for him to run some Navajo type stuff. Navajo means that they're going to cover up the center. They're not going to let him make those concessions and be able to pull out and do all those different type things.
So in other words, so what you're saying is they may assign linemen on what they believe are probably straight running plays to tie Kelsey up.
Well, no, so when I say Navajo, they're going to line up three in the middle.
Right.
Navajo is like a bear front.
Yeah.
It's like somebody's over the nose guard and two guys are over the outside hips of the guard.
Okay.
Of the guard. So they offensive linemen call it Navajo. We just call it the barrel cup front defensively.
Okay.
So I feel like they're going to do that to try to keep Kelsey from being as dominant as he's been and being able to pull and stuff.
The Eagles are against the run right in the middle of the pack in the NFL, giving up 121 yards. It seems by the eye test they've been better at it, though, than that.
Well,
don't you think?
Well, when you look at it, once they got Linval Joseph and then Ndamukong Suh, after Jordan Davis went down,
right?
You saw guys there who were there to make plays and not just there to get sacks. And you're not seeing guys just trying to survive because they know they're going to play 60 or 70 plays a game. And Fletcher Cox, you see guys now they're out there to actually making the effort to make plays up front because you're not gonna have to make concessions because you're tired later on. And the one thing about our defensive line is like we've gotten better against the run. It's like and it's also has to do with our linebackers. They've gotten better as well since we got the big dogs up front. It's like if you look at it, it's when we after that Washington game, we went and got some big dogs to put in the middle to help for that. So
right.
I feel like that's one of those numbers. Like it remains to be seen. Are you going to be in a position to run the ball?
We talked about this before on the show, and there's times that. In the trenches there, and I know you tried to explain this, maybe we do it again, is that there could be a guy out there that might not look like he's making plays, but he's tying people up and allowing guys around him to make plays.
Well yeah, he's doing his job. When you do your job, you're not it's like on some of the plays that they run, and I know this is a Shanahan-based offense, so there's going to be some times where they're going to try to get you running sideways. And when you run inside, when they get the defensive line running sideways, there's going to be gaps. It's like, but our guys are fast enough to get inside those gaps, and that's where the stunts, like I was telling you, stunt plays, those knock off blockers as well, and make it easier for our linebackers. Kind of like you say, when seems like they're not doing something, they're holding it up for our linebackers to have what we like to call glory. That's the whole crowd to woo and a yaying.
The Eagles' defense, first in passing yards allowed per game, less than 180.
Yes.
While the secondary, and they made some great signings back there, obviously.
Yeah.
But while the secondary has been very good, that actually all starts with the defensive front.
Yes, it does start with the defensive front, and I think the other part too is we getting Avonte Maddox back apparently.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's going to play. That makes a lot of difference, and it makes a lot of difference with the front as well. And you can't just line up. Put it this way: this is the NFC Championship game. You can't just they've seen us on tape. You can't just continually line up stripe to stripe and think you're going to get a victory like that all the time. You may win some of the time, but you're going to have to make some concessions and run some stunts like he did last week. You saw he ran some pressure off the slot and put the kid on notice that you're not going to stand back there and pick us apart.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How much did the Eagles blitz today? More than usual? Less than usual? The same?
Well, if it was me, I would blitz way more than they blitz because pressure busts pipes. When especially you got a rookie quarterback back there, put him under duress. You seen what he could do just running around and nobody on his ass. So if you don't put him on notice, he will pick you apart. Even though he's Mr. Irrelevant, he's 5 or 6-0 right now.
Yeah, he hasn't lost. Yeah,
it hasn't lost, and he hasn't thrown that many. Has he thrown a pick? I think he's thrown one pick, but it was in regular season.
Yeah, I know he's thrown 3 touchdowns without a pick in the playoffs.
Yeah, so and he takes care of the ball. We want to make him not take care of the ball. So you put people under duress. If you see the Cowboys, they were on him and they were after him, but it's like that was a perfect game for them to take it. But offensively they just couldn't get it done.
The 49ers are, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier, that they can be susceptible to the deep ball. But the 49ers are actually in the bottom third in pass defense in terms of yards per game. So
and that's why.
Yeah, and
it's like you have
no, go ahead.
I was like, we have a great front seven, but you don't have anything on the back end. You tend to give up the deep plays, and then it's like the guys. If you run a man defense, You're going to give up some plays, especially when you come up against great receivers. I feel like we have a nice receiving core, and we have well, a couple that with a tight end and a few running backs that are good. And offensive line, we have a good offense. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can stop.
Is there ever, Sirianni's offense doesn't seem to use the running back an awful lot in the passing game. Does maybe that wrinkle show up today?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think given the way that the 49ers defense rolls, I don't think you use that. I think you continue to use the running backs to run, and you use the receivers for passing. Because if you look at it, it's been successful for us. Because when a running back is not in the passing game, he's back there helping block. He's back there helping pick up a blitz or something to keep the quarterback clean. I think you just keep rolling like that.
We talked about A.J. Brown and what he does, and one of the things we didn't talk about before that I've seen this year is he is the entire package in that what I've seen them do, especially late in the season here, is they'll run that wide receiver screen to Dante Smith with Brown out there to block. He's a very good blocker.
Yes, he's tremendous. I think if you look at all the receivers, especially Pascal, all the receivers are real good blockers, and you can see that in the way when we run the ball, you can't just think that think that the offensive line just got to block. Everybody's got to block. So it's like I think they've made it so they're running as a team, like a team is supposed to. You're not supposed. It's like I think we've gotten too much. We've gotten too used to having a guy who's always wants the ball. If he's not getting the ball, he's not doing what he's supposed to do during the play. I think we started getting used to that, not to seeing people who are out there just playing when they're getting the ball when it's their turn. It's like we actually see a team play together.
All right, so you just brought up the team aspect because that was going to be one of my questions today, and I may as well do it now. How much does chemistry matter in football? I mean, it's the largest team sport. In terms of how many players play in a game, how many are on a roster each day for a game, because the Eagles really seem to have it, and how important is it?
It's extremely important to have continuity.
Right.
Because sometimes you don't know what the guy next to you is going to do because you don't really know him and you haven't been in the same system. And it's like at a certain point, after you've been playing with somebody for a little bit, you start knowing exactly what they're going to do on different calls. And that's the way you can make your plays and stuff, and you really play off of them, and they can play off of you because they know what you're going to do. So it's like when you don't have that type of continuity, you find guys running into each other, or like the ball coming, and then both of you guys looking at each other, and then the ball just hitting the ground instead of knowing who's going to do what.
So I guess I guess the word that's popping in my head is that there's a level of trust there.
Yes. Level of trust.
Yeah.
Level of trust, and it's basic. Just trust. The trust that they're going to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it, but also trust in knowing that person and knowing their personality and knowing your person and them knowing your personality as well.
All right, so this is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We are live at Mudhen Brewing Company on Rio Grande Avenue in Wildwood, the gateway into the Wildwoods here. And we've got a nice little crowd here.
Nice crowd, yes.
At the Mudhen. And a few seats at the bar. A few tables are still open, but we also have a nice crowd here. Everybody's all in their Eagles garb, anticipating this 3 o'clock start with San Francisco. We're up against the break. We've got 2 hours to go. We'll be back right after this on 98.7 The Coast. right, back live on 98.7 The Coast at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood, right on Rio Grande Avenue. We're here till 3 o'clock. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. And I'm Brian Kniff alongside 14-year NFL veteran Hollis Thomas, who has played in a couple of conference championship games as the Eagles get set to play the San Francisco 49ers. And you know what's interesting?
What's that?
Hollis, is that from a gambling standpoint, there's a lot of indications here. This line is actually going up. It's being listed now as a 3-point Eagles side there. So whereas it was 2.5, for most of the end of the week.
The basic one is normally 3 for the home team.
Right.
But we didn't even get that though.
No,
but I don't
know.
think either game did it?
No,
the other games get
well, last I looked at Kansas City, I can check that right now. The last I looked at that game was only 1. Actually, I was wrong on that. I mean, maybe I was right when I saw it the other day, but it's actually 2.5 now.
Yeah, it was due to injury.
Yeah, right. So both games are 2.5-point spreads. Although again, in some quarters you're seeing the Eagles now laying 3. The over/under has actually gone down on the Eagles game, which is interesting, to 45.5.
Probably because they remember the last game, the 17-11 game.
17-11 game last year. Yeah, you might be right. A lot of the personnel's the same.
Yeah, a lot of the personnel's the same. It's when you look at it, but that was last year. This is now. Both teams have gotten better over the past year. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see the chess game that is played.
The Kyle Shanahan, Hollis, is kind of almost quietly become one of the better coaches in the league, and
it was after the fact, though.
Yeah, I mean it
was after the 25-point loss in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got to the championship game last year.
Oh yeah, they got the Super Bowl as well, though.
Yeah,
with him there.
Yeah, and Super Bowl in 2019.
He lost the lead again.
He's also, but he's also 6-2 in the postseason. So that you have to give that to him. So he has had some success in the postseason. So I did want to bring up about your hero boy with a whisper of cinnamon. Mm-hmm. As you're taking a sip, I'll let everyone know about the whisper of cinnamon.
It is delicious.
But I wanted to circle back to there's a local tie here with Mike McGlinchey.
Oh yeah.
Starting tackle for San Francisco.
How long has he been there?
6'8", 310 pounds. He was drafted in 2018. He was plugged in as a starter.
Day one starter out of Notre Dame.
Day one starter out of Notre Dame, and
see, I do my homework.
from the local standpoint, he went to Penn Charter High School, played football and basketball there. His family has a summer home in North Wildwood.
Yes,
and,
they do.
He used to
something about a True Value hardware store or something he used to go to around this way. It's
possible.
It's a True Value hardware. I saw some of the story. And I kind of quickly turned the channel. Well, because I was like,
plays for the opposing team. I get it.
I was going to say, you're rolling with the enemy.
That's right.
And I get it, but
Yeah.
Go, but continue.
But he used to play in the summer basketball leagues in North Wildwood and Wildwood Crest, and actually great family, big family. And he's.
I look forward to all of them being disappointed today.
They're very likable people, but we don't like them today.
We're headed out shades of disappointment today.
That's right.
But it's like when you go ahead. Get out.
No, I just want to say that it's just always good to see a local guy do well. He's on a big contract. He's made a lot of money in the NFL. He's actually a veteran now. Got drafted in 2018, so this is his 5th or 6th season, whatever it is.
Like Hassan Reddick.
What's that? Like Hassan Reddick, yeah.
Who should be Defensive Player of the Year?
Think so?
Yeah. Why not?
But will he win it?
No. It's the disrespect. It's the disrespect that's going around with the Eagles in general.
So who do you think will win it?
Whoever else they got.
Anyone but him?
Anyone but him. It's like when you put people on notice the way he has and found his niche. It's like
as long as they don't drop him in the coverage.
Oh yeah, don't drop him in the coverage. Oh God. He would have 25 sacks. You moron. You don't say that in front of us.
Right.
You think that, but you don't say that.
Yeah.
But I've watched him play a little bit. He's not trash, but he's not, but he's a pigeon. So I'm talking about the.
So you think obviously you think the Eagles matchup there at that position's good.
Well, I think the fact that we have waves of defensive linemen coming,
Right.
I don't think it's like last week you saw what they did, and Dallas didn't have the same waves that we have, and then you saw what they did with against Seattle. But you see what they've done all year. They wore opposing teams' defensive line down. It's like you're not going to be able to wear us down because we have waves of guys coming at you. And I think that's the difference. And also the difference is we're gonna put Purdy to the test. It's like we're gonna see if he can put the team on his back and win.
The Eagles got 5 sacks last week against the Giants, against a quarterback that can run, a big guy that can move a little bit. So
yeah, he sucks.
Well, he certainly wasn't good last week. And you
he
know what?
hasn't been. If he's so good, then they would have taken up his 5th-year option.
Well, now they're talking about re-signing him, which I think would be good for the Eagles.
Yeah, it'd be great for the Eagles. I hope they are talking about re-signing him.
Yeah, I think they did.
No. They said that they would be open to.
Right.
I saw that. They didn't.
All going to come down to the scratch, I guess.
Well, yeah. Somebody said they should give him money like they gave Kirk Cousins. I was like, please stop. Because Kirk Cousins even though Kirk Cousins, he'll get you to a certain point, I think he's a little bit better than Daniel Jones.
Do you think that is there a path that Tom Brady ends up there?
Where, with the Jets?
I would say with the Giants.
With the Giants? No. I don't think so.
Right.
I think the Raiders are more likely because Josh McDaniels.
Right.
And he doesn't like Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien just went crawling back to Bill Belichick.
True.
We talked about the coaching tree not having any success beyond the Patriots. So I don't know if he has the passion to play anymore. Talking about Tom Brady. And when you lose that passion, it's kind of hard to muster it up to go out there to play against some young guys who are looking to make a name and hoping that you make that fatal mistake of pulling the ball down and running so they can knock you out.
Yeah. And one of the things that I wanted to mention with McGlinchey too, Alice, is that his cousin is Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan's another Philly guy that had a good career in the NFL as a quarterback. Matty Ice as a quarterback. So that's obviously a very, very athletic family there, and an athletic extended family too.
There's so many jokes right there. Wow.
Listen, they made it. You know what I mean? They made it, and they've done well.
Yeah. That part, yeah. But it was like when you said it's like Matty Ice. I was like, yeah, stop it. I don't know if you saw the Indianapolis Minnesota game.
The big comeback. Yeah, I did. Yeah,
he was part of the Super Bowl comeback too.
Yeah, that's true. Can't hold big leads, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Be better off losing the whole game, and maybe he comes back and wins it at the end.
It is brutal when you let a team, when you have the game in hand and you let a team come back, and it is brutal.
All right, your thoughts on Christian McCaffrey? Obviously, one of the most dynamic running backs in the league.
I feel like he's good. I don't think he's the same Christian McCaffrey that busts on the scene. He's had a few injuries and stuff. I don't think you don't fear him like you used to fear him.
Right.
But you still are cognizant of him and his abilities to put you on notice and to run between the tackles and catch passes out of the backfield. So, but he is like long gone are the days where you're making concessions for him. So,
will Nick Bosa be that defensive player of the year?
No.
No.
I think Nick Bosa is good. But I think it's like he plays most of the games. So I think our guys they've gone against our guys the entire season.
They don't have as much depth on their defensive line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you're gonna know when he's on the sideline.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you're gonna see somebody, you're gonna be like, oh man, I forgot he was playing. And he's gonna be one of our guys, like like a Brandon Graham, a Sweat. When then you think about Robert Quinn. Then you don't think about Ndamukong Suh, Leval Joseph, Milton. I go on forever, baby.
And you see them up close. These guys can all play.
Yeah, all these guys can play, and they're in there to put in good work. And then you forgot about Fletcher Cox and Leval Joseph, and not Leval Joseph, but Hargrave. Hargrave is still out to prove that he too belonged in the Pro Bowl.
Right.
So when you look at what we got up front, I feel like we're about to put a lot of people on notice.
There's never been a rookie quarterback in the NFL start a Super Bowl game. So if San Francisco comes in and wins, that's going to happen.
Yeah, if Ifs and Buts was candy and nuts, it would always be Christmas.
That's right. So yeah, that's right. He's 7-0 as a starter, by the way.
Correct.
And his touchdown to interception ratio is 13-4.
Right.
But again, we talked about this earlier. It seemed like
the more people that get him on tape, the
well,
more people
that's what I mean.
more people are starting to give him problems.
Yeah, there was like a little cracks in the armor in the last two playoff games, even though they won.
Yeah, because you're in the playoffs, and so you've got him on tape. It's not like you're surprising him in any surprising the opposing team anymore.
And obviously, these teams are better.
Yeah, these teams, they're obviously better. They're better coaching, and it's down to nut cutting time. It's like you win or go home, and you're down to the best of the best. The best two in the NFC. That's what's going to be at 3 p.m.
I mean, and I think that's one of the things that that's one of the reasons why I really like the Eagles today is that at some point in a conference championship game, quarterbacks are going to have to make plays. Like, you can't just rely on your defense or your run game to carry you the whole way. And
that's why he made a couple of plays last week. Purdy made a few choice plays last week to put them over the top, and Dak was not able to do that. He threw picks in those situations, and Purdy made the plays he was supposed to make. And I think that's all you can really ask for from this kid. But it's like, and I may be wrong, but it's like all you can ask for from a rookie to this point is what he's given you so far, and it's to go out and play good sound football and not turn the ball over. But will that be enough this game?
What do you see? What do you see in him? There's people that are already saying he could end up being the next Tom Brady because of where he came from as Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in a draft, and whatnot. But do you think that he is a long-term NFL starter?
That remains to be seen. But once they get a year, it's all about this. Is once they get you on tape for a year. It's like, can you still make those plays and make those concessions to become better? Okay, so because when your first couple of years, you can roll off your athletic ability and your youthfulness and stuff. I was like, but once they have you on tape after, and this is like a lot of times why NFL career only lasts 3.3 years, is because once they get you on tape, and now they know how to defend you, and they know how to stop you. What are you going to do to continue to make plays, to continue to be relevant, to continue to be a part of the conversation when they talk about who to stop or who to put on notice? It's like, and so to say that now, everybody. A lot of times we see a lot of people anointing people, but long before it's time. Right. And it's like, I'm not anointing this kid. He's got 7 games, right? Mm-hmm. He's got 7 games. That's what he is right now, 7-0. So it's like that's it. I'm not looking at anything long term. You're still under your rookie contract until you show me otherwise. You have to do it in a full season size.
So what are the things that Jalen Hurts has done to put himself in the upper echelon now as one of the best quarterbacks? Because obviously teams got a lot of tape on him, right? And he really busted out this year, and he's a finalist for the MVP. And I think he probably should win it. He may not, but.
Yeah, he's not going to win because he's an Eagle. Right. The thing that I love about him is that he took everything that people said about him not being able to read defenses. Like they said that the Buccaneers said that against in the playoff game last year. He's come back and he's put people on notice. It's some of the plays that I've been mesmerized. Like, he pulls the ball down and just goes because he knows that there's nobody in the middle
of the field. Right.
I was like, dude, I was like that. It's like that. It's like I don't know. But he's put everybody on notice that he's here to stay.
But I think I also think from the physical standpoint, he's gotten so much more accurate this year too.
Well, yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, when you look at it, he went and worked on everything that every criticism that all the naysayers had, all the chumps that still told me, so I wanted to be a little bit more accurate. You can't get no more accurate than he is. It's like I don't want him to run as much. I was like, if you're scared, call the police. Stop it. Stop it. It's like you can't continue. And all he's done is took every criticism and turned it into a positive and become one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They ranked him the jerk offs That was one of the sports outlets had him rated behind Purdy. I was like, Purdy doesn't have a big enough work sample.
Right.
It's like that's what we were just talking about. That it was like you have to get a sample size because once everybody knows what you do, can you still thrive? Can you still win? And right now it's one of those. He's right now in the box right now because we have 7 games on him. We know what he does. We know what he does well, but we just figured out in the last 2 games what kind of irks him a little bit. You know, what makes him work more than he has had to work in the past. And so it's like, and let's see what happens. And the volume is going to be turned up. The volume and the heat is going to be turned up. Let's see what he does. Can he put the team on his shoulder? Can he make those few plays to put his team over the top when the opposing quarterback can make just as many plays, if not more?
It also seems to me, from the Eagles' standpoint, when you talk about Hurts, is that this is almost like now you got to go out and get it, but do it. But it's almost like this is the natural progression here. Like he's been one of the best players in the league all year, and it's almost like he deserves to take this team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and the funniest thing, I was talking with somebody, and was one of my esteemed colleagues. We were saying that the guy that Hurts is starting to become is the guy that we felt like Donovan should have been.
Right.
It's like he's showing poise. He's taking in all the criticism and stuff, and he's using his fuel for the fire. He's unfadable. I was like, this is what we expected Don to do. I was like, but Don did it for the most part, and he did it with a lot less. But this is what, and somebody when he said that, I was like, wow, I never really paid attention to that. And I was with Don. I was like, and it's like, it's kind of true. This is who everybody expected Donovan to be.
Right. By the way, I did want to tell you that our buddy Anthony, I don't know if he's still on there now, but our buddy Anthony was watching our live stream a little earlier.
I just caught a glimpse of him. I was like, hey.
Yeah. So he's the bartender here who's the big Giants fan.
Yeah.
And
I don't see Kenny.
Kenny's not here. He's a big Eagles fan. Kenny's not working today. But Anthony was walking around all proud with a Saquon Barkley jersey on. And I think it's now in the closet until September.
Lucky you don't have a Daniel Jones jersey.
Yeah, true. All right, we're up against the break. We're live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. I'm Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran. We're here till 3 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, and if you want to stop by, say hello to Hollis during the break. He'll be happy to take a picture, sign an autograph. By the way, Buddy Tarbotton's in the building, too. So that's all kinds of celebrities here at the Mudhen. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. Back after this on 98.7 The Coast. All right, we are back at the Mudhen, live on 98.7 The Coast. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. I'm Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran. We're here till 3 o'clock. Stop on in. They're doing some contests here with some giveaways, and there's a raffle for a signature Eagles football. They're doing some Eagles face painting here.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot going on at the Mudhen today. A lot of people have been in and out so far, but
come in to get a full meal deal and get out and watch the Eagles game.
That's right. That's right. Enjoy a Hero Boy with Hollis.
Yes.
That sounds like a podcast.
Yes,
Hero Boy with Hollis.
With a whisper of sentiment.
Sounds like a podcast show or episode there. So we were talking a little bit about it before the break, but you got these are two dynamic offenses actually, but probably the Eagles is probably better. I would think.
Are you being a homer?
Yeah, I mean they're third in yards per game at 389. The 49ers are fifth at 365. The Eagles 147 yards rushing per game. That's fifth in the league. The 49ers are right behind them at 138. But obviously Jalen Hurts adds to those rushing totals.
And you know, I think it's a general that's commanding each team. They're obviously they're on their third quarterback, so they haven't had time to build. Remember earlier in the show we were talking about continuity and teamwork.
Yeah.
We've had a chance to build. We've had at least a year. We're a year ahead of them in building the continuity and teamwork, and I think that's what's going to show today. We pretty much had the same squad without A.J. Brown and a couple of other pieces on the roster last year to get to the playoffs, and then we added some pieces, and they've come in and they've done their job extremely well, and it's just everybody's getting to know it's actually the nucleus knows each other already. And so you just add the other pieces in, and the nucleus brings them along.
Speaking of A.J. Brown, you know, he's done more than just plug in a talented guy.
Right.
But he's kind of elevated the rest of the receiving core, and just his presence alone seems to be creating matchup problems elsewhere. How important has that been?
When you look at that, it's like if you don't double team him, he's going to make you pay. Right. And it's like, and then then you have Dallas Goedert, one of the best tight ends in the NFL currently. He runs angry. He's back. He's back, and he's back at almost up to total speed. And you hoping that he gets up to that this week. But then also, you look at the backfield. You got Miles Sanders who puts you on notice, so you have to worry about the run. And then on the other, you have the Slim Reaper who you cannot. He takes the top off things. And it's like it's like who are you gonna stop? But then you have Quez Watkins in the slot at Pascal. It's like, who are you going to stop? Then you go to Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell. Who are you going to stop? It's the first time I want to say in a long time that we've had this many weapons to deploy, and you got a guy who's been with these guys for a couple of years, so they've been able to build that teamwork and continuity that we were speaking of. It's like they're on the same page. It's like with Purdy, I think they built some continuity because he's been there. He's been there throughout the entire season, but I think they kind of where we were last year.
One of the things that I've seen with the Eagles, and you might not see this with a lot of teams, is that in some specific areas, the Eagles have actually shown a lot of improvement from game one to now, and one of those places is the special teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That number 53 Ellis, when they got him off a practice squad, and he's been a hammering machine, and then Zachary McPherson, he's been doing pretty good on special teams as well. I was like, but we needed that because we were sticking up the joint in our coverage units, and then it was just like one of those units that you don't pay that much attention to until a big game, until they do something. It's kind of like not knowing the long snapper's name.
Yeah, Rick Lovato. But yeah, if you don't hear his name, that's good.
Yeah, it's good. But it's like if we know his name, we know his name well. That means he's not getting the job done. So it's like or like we knew that was the kicker from the Cowboys who missed the 4 extra points.
Yes,
you knew his name, and Jerry Jones. Even Jerry Jones got on and said we're going to be looking for some kickers this week. Yeah, but leading up to this last game, and Mike McCarthy ended up sticking with the kid, but. It's kind of like that. If you don't hear about them, that means that they're doing well.
Uh, Jake Elliott obviously has been pretty consistent
Yes.
for the Eagles.
Yes.
What does that do in terms of, so much of what goes on in a football game happens in the trenches, and it's so important. But, every time a kicker goes on the field except to kick off,
Right.
points could be scored or not scored.
Right.
So what does that do in terms of a psyche for a team when you got that consistent guy?
Well, the one thing it does is like even when offensively, it may make or break your calls. And I say may make or break your calls. It's kind of because it's like if you watched the game last week with the Cowboys, they were not trying to kick any field goals because they didn't know because they were not confident in their guy. When you're confident in your guy, you're not trying to get the whole first down, but you're trying to get in better position to make it a better kick, a better spot for him to kick in. But it's like you're not making those concessions when you're not confident in your kicker. So the playbook is a little different, and you take more chances.
How and I'm going to ask you to speak to this as an ex-player, but obviously not an ex-kicker.
Okay.
How hard is it to be a pro kicker? And I gotta imagine, like, all those guys that get to that level, they have the physical talent and all that. But I got to imagine more than any other position, it's got to be so mental.
I talked to one of my pretty boy Sean Landetta and Gary Anderson and then obviously Tasty Yeager, David Akers. When you talk to those guys, they're cool guys. They're on an even keel, and I think that's the way you got to kind of deal with it. It's like because you got to be intense at times, but you're only intense for just like a split second, and you have to have so much concentration. It's like you kick the ball, like you'll see them kick 1,000 balls in practice. It's like, but it comes down to the one that you kick in the game, and I think that's one of the most not gonna say it's like difficult mind-wise jobs because you only get like one shot at it. It's like I get a couple, like playing defensive tackle, I get a couple of shots.
If you miss a tackle, you can make the next play.
Yeah, I can make the next play as long as we don't give up a score.
Right.
It's like, but if you miss that kick, it's going to be a minute before you get your next opportunity, and you're going to be left over there by yourself to think about it. And it's like it's kind of like being a corner on an island. You got to have a short memory. So it's one of the most.
Well, and I've always thought that, and this is how I would think about it, if I was the kicker, because they're usually, a lot of times they're the short, scrawny guy who would never have an NFL uniform on or even a football uniform, period. And they watch their teammates go out and lay their bodies on the line for 60 minutes. And sometimes you got to trot on the field with 30 seconds left to make a 48-yard field goal. That's where I think that's probably what separates the guys that make the NFL from those who don't.
Yeah, that and if you miss all those run through my head, it's like you have one job.
You have one job. One job.
That's the only thing that's running through my head. But it's like when the guys who have ice water running through their veins, they're good at it. It's like you commend them for doing it because it couldn't be me. Put it that way.
Eagles are 9th in passing yards per game in the NFL in the regular season, 241. The 49ers 13th. And I think that right there, I mean, when you have a guy like Jalen Hurts, that stat right there almost shows you that this guy's not a running quarterback. No, he runs when it's there.
Yeah. I think it shows you the balance of our offense. It's like that was the one thing that I think that like if you didn't notice when Nick Sirianni first got here, those first few games we didn't really have an identity. It was like we were out there throwing the ball all over the place like we're going to be a pass-happy team, but then we started running the ball and we built an identity. And then through running the ball, you run the ball to pass the ball. You run the ball to put the ball on notice that you can pass, and then when you can pass, as good as our guy has been doing, then you give that balanced attack, and you continually keep opposing defenses on their heels. Because if I know what you're going to do, if I put it this way, if I know I'm playing against an offensive coordinator who's pass happy, I know that I'm in for a long day of a bunch of pass rushes, and I'm not going to have to really defend the run. I was like, but if you run pass and you do both of them pretty decently, it's going to be a long day for me because I'm going to have to figure out what the hell you're doing to try to stop you. So that's the one thing that I love about this squad is the ability to keep defenses on their heels.
The Eagles elevated Anthony Harris, a safety, from the practice squad to the active roster.
Nice.
And I believe they did that last week, but then made him inactive.
Right.
But does that Does that move the needle for you at all? I don't know if there's a reason for that why they would elevate him. I don't know.
Probably for special teams reasons, and also just in case somebody may be ailing or something. Especially if you got Avonte Maddox up too. So and then he's coming off of injury, so
right.
You're probably trying to make concessions that way as well.
And again, the Eagles are going into this game about as healthy as you can be at this time of year.
Big time. I think the only one is like Avonte Maddox that is
still questionable.
Still questionable. So
yeah, but yeah, everybody else is, and what, like we talked about for last week, we saw it. Some guys that had been nicked up are starting to get closer to.
I said, the band is back, the full band, and we don't have any substitutes now.
That's right. That's right.
No Leonard Skinner on guitar. No.
So the Eagles 49ers at 3 o'clock. The game is being shown on Fox. It will be obviously shown here on all the TVs at the Mudhen here in Wildwood, and they'll have the sound on and everything. It's a great spot to watch the game.
Tremendous atmosphere.
And yeah, so is right around the corner from here, and we can say this because they're all joined together. The Dogtooth right around the corner is also another great spot to watch the game under the same management team. So either place would be terrific to come out and watch the Eagles and the 49ers. I always get a kick out of, because when I left here last week, and like I told you, I had to get out of here before they scored, otherwise I would have to stay all night.
Yep.
But I got a kick out of how when I did get on the road, there was nobody out there. Everybody was somewhere watching the game.
Exactly.
There's going to be no one on the. I know you have to skedaddle up to Philly shortly after the game starts. I know you're going to watch a little bit here, but I think the highway is going to be pretty clear for you.
Yeah, it's going to be probably smooth sailing all the way till I get to the crib. And the funniest part is, as I told you, when I was on my way here, as I was getting onto the bridge, I was like, what the? It was just a bunch of people with Eagles gear running from Camden, New Jersey across the Ben Franklin Bridge.
That's great. That's crazy.
I was like, come on. I was like, and then the one guy we talked to, he's like, yeah, we got up this morning to get rid of the jitters.
Yes.
We ran 5 miles. I've never ran 5 miles before. I was like, what?
So did the guys this morning see you and recognize you, or you just went by them?
No, I just kind of went by. I just happened to see them over there. It was just funny.
Okay.
It was extremely funny. I saw some of the Eagles heading in. So. That's all often good.
How and I guess as you get more experience, it gets easier with stuff like this. But I always try to talk about this. There's always a human side to everything.
Right.
We see all these guys on TV and whatnot. But how difficult is it to get a good night's sleep before a game like this?
You stay at the hotel. That's number one. If you have family in town, you stay at the hotel, because if you don't stay at the hotel, you will not get a good night's sleep. It's fairly easy, especially I don't know. You're more likely to stay at the hotel.
Yeah.
And but if you don't have anybody at your house, stay at your house, because it'll probably be more comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. Unless you're just one of those people who can't sleep.
Yeah. Did you ever have problems sleeping before a big game?
No.
The night before a big game?
No. If I did, I just normally got a towel off me or something.
Yeah.
And if I knew I took a nap during the early part of the day, then I would get something like that to help me sleep.
Yeah.
So I get the proper amount of sleep leading up to the game.
Yeah. And your bacon and eggs in the morning.
Yes,
of course.
my bacon and eggs in the morning. Usually that's the energy boost in which I need to get me over the top.
Yep. All right, so we're a little more than the halfway through here. This is Reality Check, the Eagles pregame. Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. I'm Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas. Mark Hunter, this is his maiden voyage as our on-site producer, and he's got us humming right along here at the Mudhen. And we have Norm Donahue back at the studio. He's pushing all the right buttons back there, keeping us on the air. And we'll continue as we move it along right after this. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show, live on 98.7 The Coast.
come with me?
Oh yeah, they emailed me this. I forgot to do it. Yeah. All right, back live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're here till 3 o'clock. Great food, great drinks, great place to watch the game coming up at 3 o'clock. And they got all the great draft beers and the craft beers and the Hero Boy.
The Hero Boy.
With a whisper of sentiment.
With a whisper of sentiment, yes.
That's Hollis'
Changed my
favorite. For the better or for the worse?
For the better.
For the better. Okay,
yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's what we like to hear. We always do. We do a segment where we kind of talk about other Philly sports, we were talking about this before we went on the air today. But what a win by the Sixers last night.
That was a tremendous. 47 points by Joel.
Yeah, I think they were down 18 at one point in the game, and they gave up 73 points in the first half and only 46 in the second.
Yep.
And they beat Denver 126-119. I know you said you watched some of that.
Yeah, I watched a lot of that. I watched the part where they were coming back, and
right.
It was inspiring. It was. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you were a little critical before of Joel Embiid with his offensive rebounding. He had 6 of them last night.
It's about damn time. He went down. I think he had to go down low because of Djokovic.
Yes.
It's like he only had. I think Djokovic he held up to 24 points, but he poured in 47. Had 18 rebounds. So as good as like you had to. When you have a big guy like that, you have to put people on notice. That we're about to kick your butt, and we're going to run everything through the big man. And he had everything. Everything was falling for him too. It was great.
Yeah, James Harden I think had 13 assists.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean he's.
I know you're not that much of a Flyers fan, but Flyers won 4-0.
They did. I had that on my notes here. Yeah.
4-0 for right.
Owen Tippett, Noah Cates each had a goal and an assist. Carter Hart a 40-save shutout.
Yep. I think it's his fourth of his career, leading into the All-Star break, which is actually good to see because a lot of people are down on the Flyers, kind of like with good reasons.
Seems like the coach is doing a decent job.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I love the coach. I love the coach now.
Yeah.
So he's putting people on notice and he's not sugarcoating anything.
And I know you enjoy going to the games.
Yes, I enjoy going to the games. It's a fun time, and the heat from the ice. Somebody dropped something. Too much Hero Boy.
Yeah.
But now it's like the watching the gritty and the whole shebang. It's a great time at the games, though.
Yeah, and I've always said that.
How do they let it get so hot with that ice down there?
We're
not a fire when you. I was like, man.
Well, I've always thought that hockey's the one sport that doesn't play well on television. Like I think it's a much better game if you see it in person.
Well, my TV's big enough to make me think.
Well, yeah. It's your surround sound, I guess.
Yeah, I'm hearing things like, nobody's in here with me.
Yeah.
Let's see. You've been listening to your surround sound, and you can hear people from the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
I thought I was here by myself.
Yeah, and the Sixers have kind of been. Their attendance has been off the charts the last 4 or 5 years.
They've been on a bit of a tear. It's like all the teams are playing well, and it's kind of like.
So this.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say this could be a great weekend here. Flyers and Sixers won last night. You got the Eagles today.
Just one more.
Yeah, Philly's coming off a World Series, appearance.
World Series appearance and having a tremendous offseason.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you look at that too. It's
Bringing Trey Turner in and a few other people. And
a few other nice pitchers there, shoring up the bullpen a little bit.
Yep. And one thing that we always try to talk about the local high school sports for a moment. And I know I know you've been following. You're following me on Twitter. I say it. And so a couple games yesterday. Kenny's here. Kenny just showed up. Kenny showed up and delivered another hero boy.
Yes, he saw me running low. Now I can drink it like a man.
That's right. So Lower Cape May beat Cumberland yesterday. Wildwood Catholic beat Williamstown. And I'll tell you, Hollis, you'd be interested to see this kid. There's a kid at Wildwood Catholic. His name's Justin Harper. And he is having some kind of season for them. He had a career-high 37 the other night.
Nice.
And they upset St. Joe at home. And then yesterday, he had 29 and 16 rebounds.
Nice.
And why I think you'd like him is because he's built more like a football player. he's a solid, he's about 6'3". He's probably a solid 215. If you bulked him up a little bit, he could be that linebacker size. Yeah, and he's a terrific young man.
Nice.
And he's having a great season for them. Middle Township's girls team lost in overtime yesterday to Atlantic City. There is a girls shootout event going on at Ocean City today. Wildwood and Wildwood Catholic are playing separate opponents up there, right smack in the middle of the Eagles game. They can't be happy about that.
Not at all. The funniest thing too is like, my buddy Scott Nunemaker, his girlfriend, they had to go to a wedding last week. Last week on the Eagles, they had an Eagles playoff game. So you see him.
Did they roll a TV in at least?
He's like, they better hurry up and get down. You can see him posting pictures on Facebook of his feet waiting to get the hell out of there. So you get to the Eagles game. I was just crying. It was funny as hell. It's like, but it's like the funniest thing too is like when you see somebody who's got a wedding in the fall. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be on Sunday. Yeah, really?
Well, listen.
Let me RSVP now. I will not be there.
I live it because my son plays travel soccer, and all the games in the fall are on Sunday afternoons. So I have to look at that Eagles schedule and like, all right, well, which games do I try to get my wife to go to so I don't miss the Eagles?
Yeah, I saw you, bud.
Yeah. And one other local note, we want to say congratulations to Wildwood boys basketball coach Scott McCracken. Won his 200th career game the other night. They had a big win over Overbrook. I know that's the one you said you watched a little bit of it.
I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah.
You posted some of it.
Yeah. Posted some of the videos there. Yeah. So interesting times. We also want to mention we have a great wrestler down here, a kid by the name of Brock Zarowski at Lower Cape May. His parents are here at the Mudhen. He's undefeated, and he's got a full ride to Rider University.
Nice.
So good for him.
The parents that you're speaking of, they told me to let you know to broadcast more wrestling.
You know what? We tried to do it last year, and it didn't work out. But it's a good point. We should at least do a match.
Especially when you have a kid like that. He needs to be recognized.
Needs to be recognized and showcased, no doubt about it.
He's doing the most important thing. He's winning, putting in the work to win. Yes.
I guess I would imagine that, speaking of putting in the work, I guess the coaches want to keep everything as normal as possible. I would assume that the preparations that go on all week for a game like this are probably, I would assume, similar to what you do during the season.
But if you know anything, well, not so much if you know anything. The one thing you should know about all NFL teams is the schedule kind of never deters from team to team.
Right.
In the week after the game, normally you have film session and weights and treatment. Depending on which team that you're on, if you're accustomed to winning, you get what they call a Victory Monday. That means you don't have to be there until Wednesday. You got to be back till Wednesday. But the coach always gives you that proverbial, I know what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going out.
So most of the guys will come in on Monday.
Yeah, no, I'm going to Vegas.
Yeah.
But you get that. But most times they give you those 2 days to get your body back ready. Or some clubs, they have you come in that Monday, you do corrections and stuff, and then you do the workout and stuff, and then you have Tuesday off. But you still come in Tuesday because if you have treatments and stuff, you're trying to get ready for Wednesday. Wednesday is normally the run day. when I say run day versus the run, you do 9 on 7. Most teams do 9 on 7 because it's far away from Sunday for you to be able to get the soreness out from working on run gap fits.
Right.
So then Thursday is one of the most important days because it's goal line, short yardage, third down, and then 2-minute drill. It's like so and then it's red zone offense and red zone. That's so Thursday is the longest day and it's the most important day because that's when you put the meat and potatoes of your game plan in of what you're planning to do. And then Friday is also a pretty important day because it's pretty much no mistakes. You're running through everything that you got because they got rid of all the stuff that they don't want to do during the game because they went through all the plays and stuff that they want in the game and which ones they feel that will work and which ones they feel that won't work. And on Friday they put together like a script. And you have to know everything you're supposed to do. So you try to be perfect. You're still running through, and it's normally done with shells only because you're not looking for contact. You're looking for good, crisp movement and knowing what you're supposed to do. And if Friday is long, then you're probably going to get your ass kicked on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
It's like so, and it's also it's your junk food Friday. Because you weigh in Friday morning normally. Son of an onion. You weigh in on Friday morning, and then they have for lunch. You have pretty much junk food Friday, whatever you want, blah blah. Cheese steaks. We had the best cafeteria, and then Saturday is just a walkthrough. So that's pretty much it's universal around the NFL. And I've never really seen it deter. I've been on a few different teams, and that's pretty much that is the way that each team has done it.
How long's the typical Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Like, what time in the morning do you get there, and what time are you usually leaving the facility?
It's pretty much like a 9 to 5.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's when you get there in the morning. Unless you're like sometimes I had the caveat of not being on special teams in the latter part of my career, but then later in the week you have to come in for a field goal and field goal block.
Okay.
So you have to come in later in the week. Normally the special teams meetings are at like 8:15 in the morning, and you can run from 8:15 to 9. 9 o'clock is the team meeting, and he gets all the business out of the way. Now, when I was with Sean Payton, he used to call out people's fines.
Oh, really? Right in front of everybody?
Yeah, in front of everybody. Oh, God. That was like one time I got fined $8,000 for missing a workout. And so the funniest part of this story is that at the end of the week, the strength and conditioning coach said, "Are you going to make up that workout?" I was like, "Are you going to give me my $8,000 back?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Well, there you go. I paid for that workout." So
yeah, you paid to miss it.
I paid to miss that workout, but it's a special teams to get any business out of the way, and sometimes the coach on the morning meeting, on the morning team meeting, the last one during the week, gives you a breakdown of who the officials you're going against. Not going against, you're pretty much going against them anyway. But what they call
tend to call, tend not to call.
What they tend to call, what they tend not to call, and how they treated us over the years, and then basically with their stats on the coming year too. So you kind of get because you don't want your guys not concentrating on the game. And this happened to us one time playing against San Francisco in San Francisco. Corey Simon. So we were being held profusely by the 49ers in San Francisco. And
nothing's getting called.
Nothing's getting called.
Right.
And so some of the guys, it's a close game. And so some of the guys took it personal. And then they started yelling at the big guy that was standing there. I'm just standing there because like the more you yell, the more he's not going to look. So then he told Corey to get his fat self back in the huddle. It was more explicit than that.
Yeah.
He yelled at Corey.
Things we can't say on a family show at the Mudhen.
Family show, but Corey told him he ought to be ashamed of picking up his check on Monday.
The referee told him that?
Well, Corey told the referee that.
Oh, okay.
Because he was not making any calls, and I put it this way: the holding was so bad they had to stitch my jersey up in the back.
Really?
Because they had pretty much torn it off me. So they had to take the leather shoestrings.
Yeah. Tie it together.
And tie it together. That's how bad the holding was in that game.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so
and how much I know there's a lot in the beginning of the season and whatnot, but how much studying goes involved on a week-to-week basis? I mean, I know coaches are going to put a new play in or two, but Is the majority of that done at the beginning of the year, or how much?
The playbook is given to you throughout training camp,
Right.
and you learn everything. Each week they pick plays that they want to run against the opposing team.
Right.
And you got to know those plays that week. And it's so you should know them already, but you should know what they want you to do for them after that, because they often give you a DVD, like they did. Who they do that to? Jamarcus Russell. They gave him a DVD, a blank DVD.
Yeah, that's right, because they knew he wasn't going to watch
They knew he
it.
wasn't going to watch it.
Yeah.
So then, but they give you a DVD. Shout out to all the guys in our audio visual department and for the Birds that always kept us abreast of everything. Because I used to get my DVD used to consist of first and second down runs, screen plays, and then trick plays, and screen formations.
Okay, so speaking of trick plays,
Right.
Most famous play in Philadelphia Eagles history, Philly special.
Philly.
What, how, like a play like that? How often is that worked on in practice?
It's not worked on that much. It's worked on a little bit, and most of the time it doesn't work in practice. Like they'll tell you that it didn't even work in practice.
Really?
But it came around. It worked in the game.
Yeah.
But if it's like that play is so famous now, everybody tries to use it. I even saw it in the bowl game. It didn't work.
Didn't work. Yeah.
No, because it's been saturated now.
Yeah.
They've saturated the leagues of football in general with it now.
That's what I was wondering. Like how much are so trick plays aren't worked on all that much?
Not that much. You have them in, and you may see them on like a Friday. You may see them on a Friday, and you may see them on the run day. That's like and then they'll work on them like when the two teams are separated. You'll see them working on something, and they'll be like, oh, we got to put that in, and everybody be clapping and stuff, and the defense offensive linemen over there like, what the hell are they over there doing?
All right, so we're live at the Mudhen. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're 2 hours through. We've got an hour left. Stop on by the Mudhen. Great place to watch the game, or a great place to pregame. If you want to stop in here and grab a bite to eat, a quick drink, maybe you're going to go watch it at home or elsewhere, you can certainly stop by here. And great service here. Have a Hero Boy with Hollis. I'm telling you, Hero Boy with Hollis. It's a podcast episode.
It's a podcast. I'll be here the first quarter at least.
That's right. Yeah. So stop by, and if you're here at the Mudhen, stop by during the break. Hollis will be happy to take pictures, chat, and sign some autographs. Up against the break. Back after this on 98.7 The Coast. Back live on 98.7 The Coast at the Mudhen Brewing Company on Rio Grande Avenue in Wildwood. Stop on by. We're here till 3 o'clock. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. I'm Brian Kniff alongside 14-year NFL veteran Hollis Thomas. And by the way, I met you a few weeks ago, and I really didn't say this. I mean this sincerely because it's so hard. Congratulations on that. 14 years in the league. I mean, how many guys have done that? 1%? Undrafted. And 14 years in the league.
I don't think
seriously,
done
congratulations on that.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, because I think, what do they say that the average NFL career is what?
3 years, 3 games.
Yeah, 3 years, 3 games.
It's supposed to be like 4 years, but it's 3 years, 3 games.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we were just talking about this when we were asking about Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
It's like you go through that progression. And your first 3 years are going to be sheer athletic ability and youthfulness. Mm-hmm. It's like once they have you on tape and once you've played some people multiple times, are you going to be able to still study and you don't have to reinvent yourself, but study and know what they're going to expect from you, and you have to be able to do it better, and then know what to expect from them as well. Because a lot of guys get into that thing, the superhero mentality. You can't be a superhero without studying your enemy.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. That's the way. If anybody needs any advice about anything about longevity in the NFL, you have to study. You have to do the film study. You have to do the breakdowns and everything, because that athletic ability and that strength is only going to be for so long. Sooner or later, they're going to start to make concessions for you. So
the list of guys that played a decade for the Eagles has to be pretty short.
Short. It was the funniest thing was when I was coming up on my 100th, I think it was the 100th game or something. It was I had played with over 100 different defensive line combinations.
Really?
Yeah. It was funny. It was like, I was like, wow. But then you don't realize it until you go back in your mind, because you keep in touch with guys. You kind of keep in touch with guys over the years and stuff. And when you see guys say, "Oh, hey, I didn't see you," but then I was like, man, it's so true. It's like, because I see guys and stuff that I played with, like, and somebody's like, "When did you play with them?" It's like they may have come to a training camp and lasted all through training camp. It may have lasted a few weeks during the season. I was like, but you build a rapport with the guys because you're with them like 70 to 80% of the time. Yeah. And you just build basic camaraderie. So.
Well, okay, so on an NFL team,
okay,
you have we mentioned it, you have all the guys, you have practice squad guys. Is there a time, especially maybe as an offensive player, but is there a time where like you might go through a whole year, or do you go through a long part of the year where you might not really know another guy on your team? Or do you understand what I'm saying? Or do you really?
I know what you're saying, but it's like, I think we spent too much time together for that to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like when you look at it, it'll be some time where you get to know somebody and then they're
gone. Yeah.
It's like, damn, I was like, I like him. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like, but then you'll see them somewhere else or something, or somewhere down the line, and then it's just like, man, you had a short stint there. It's like, and then the first thing they say is, yeah, they didn't like me. Yeah, you didn't do what they asked you to do.
So this is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're live at the Mudhen on 98.7 The Coast, and we're here until 3 o'clock, right before the Eagles start, and right here at the Mudhen Brewing Company, and here in downtown Wildwood, right on Rio Grande Avenue. So we do want to talk about this.
Is that another Giants guy? Sorry. When you left me last week, there was some goofball. He had a Giants hat on and stuff, and I think let's see what happened. Somebody broke loose, and they still got ran down from behind, and he thought that was their cue to come back. I think I just saw the guy.
Okay.
He had that.
He ran right through you.
Yeah.
He didn't want to stop.
Yeah, he smiled like a Cheshire cat there. That's the only thing that stopped me. I was like, yeah, you son of an onion.
All right, so obviously there's another game tonight too.
Yes.
So the 6:30 game is the Bengals and the Chiefs. Want to go over that a little bit?
Sure.
The Chiefs are the #1 seed, so they only had to play the one playoff game to get there. They beat Jacksonville 27-20, much closer game than a lot of people thought.
Exactly.
Obviously, Patrick Mahomes had the injury during that game. The Bengals.
Did you see that injury though?
Yeah.
Did you get a chance? Because I remember I told you about it. But did you get a chance to go back and see it? Mm-hmm. Man, it was almost worse than Pollard.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Yeah, it's like, oh man,
it looked bad
for him to actually be out there.
Yeah, the leg's not supposed to snap like that.
Nah,
yeah.
and you figure it's his young loins.
Yeah.
So
Cincinnati, they beat the Ravens 24-17 in the wild card round, and then they went to Buffalo, as you had predicted, and really laid the wood on them 27-10.
I wonder why. You think it's because they were talking about a neutral playing site?
Possibly.
Before the game
even started. Yeah. So the big thing is the health of Mahomes, and you don't think he's all that healthy, do you?
I think he's going to be playing on adrenaline.
Yeah,
and I think he's mainly playing because they've been mentioning Joe Burrow as better than him a lot too. Mm-hmm. So if he can play, I think he's going to play. And I think it's one of those things where they have a good enough offensive line to keep him upright. Mm-hmm. And I think with him back there, you have missed a much better chance than with Chad Henne.
Yeah, no doubt.
Even though he came in and was 5 or 6 for the touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But again,
it was a sample size.
That's like fool's gold right there.
Right.
Yeah. So Cincinnati beat Kansas City.
Yeah, but they're 3-0 against them in the last 3 games they played.
Yeah.
Last 3 points total.
Yeah, and they beat him in last year's
AFC
championship game. So they've already proven they can go into Kansas City and win in the playoffs.
Yeah, but it's a little different now. They've been, I think the Bengals have been barking, they're tooting their own horn a little bit. But I don't put nothing past Joe Cool. Mm-hmm. For him to be where he is without a complete offensive line, wow.
So the one thing when they played earlier this season, Joe Burrow completed 80% of his passes. That happens today. Kansas City will go home.
Yeah, Kansas City will go home if he does that today. I think this is one of those ones where Steve Spagnuolo, my buddy Steve Spags, he has to devise a plan to trick Joe Burrow into doing some things that he doesn't want to.
Right.
And when he sends, he's going to have to start making concessions and taking some of the linebackers out of the game. Because if you get caught out there like that with a linebacker on one of their receivers, so the matchup that they're looking for, and they will exploit it. As you've seen, they will exploit it.
The one thing that you see in a game like this too is Patrick Mahomes. No matter how healthy he is, he's not going to be able to run nearly like he does before the injury. So. How does that change a game plan from the Chiefs' standpoint? Obviously, protection up front becomes paramount, but I would imagine it's a lot of quick throws. Not a lot of deep drops, maybe.
Well, he's not looking to run anyway. When he gets out of the way, he makes little subtle moves to get out of the way. I think that's going to be paramount as far as as getting out as far as the rush. But the one thing that I noticed that. And I don't know if he'll be able to do it. I noticed that the Bengals do it. They always have a tremendous game plan defensively. If you look at the way that they dealt with Josh Allen was, man, that was genius. It's like you were still running 4 at him, but he never knew which 4. And sometimes he's running zone, a man zone underneath it, and I think you're going to see some more of that. If they're not able to stop some of the 3-man rushes that the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's kind of weird to even say that. A 3-man rush you can't stop.
Yeah.
But they have the guys that do that and get there. When you look at it, it was some 3-man rushes. Actually, throughout the past 2 seasons, they've run 3-man rushes and been able to get there. So if they can't stop them from doing what they do best, then it's going to be a long day for Patrick Mahomes. But I think Andy is going to get things together. Him and Eric Bieniemy, and I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more and try to kind of put them on notice and get them caught up in some different situations where it's advantageous for the Kansas City Chiefs. But I don't know. I just don't want to go against Joe Cool.
Yeah, I hear you. How much you just mentioned Andy Reid? How much do players notice how prepared the coaches are?
What do you mean?
Like just in terms of
you mean the way
they got us ready. Is there the coach? Is there ever a thought that our coaches did a great job this week. They really got us ready for this opponent.
Now we only notice when they botch it up.
Right.
We really notice when we lose a game to Brett Favre 6-3.
Yeah.
That's when we notice. We notice when we have to use unconventional timeouts. We notice when you go out of you're mashing them on the run, and then you come out in the next drive and inexplicably throw the ball three times for incomplete passes, and the offensive line comes out the field pissed off because we should be running the ball down their throat.
Right.
That's when we notice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Those are situations that it's like when you I don't know, but I think that it's a good thing that he's passed the play calling over to Bieniemy, so that it's a little different now, and he can concentrate on being a coach. But I don't like the guy, so.
You don't like who? Andy Reid? No, not a big fan.
I'm good. That's right. You'll get to know me. I'll introduce you to my mom, and I'll let you ask my mom about him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See, it's like it's a portion that you guys, if you listen to when I was doing the morning show, my mom called in, and Angelo asked my mom about him, and she called him a snake in the grass because of the things that transpired when he was here. It's like you can't balance the act of being an executive and a coach, because at some place in the middle you're going to lie.
Yeah.
And when you lie to somebody, we're no longer family.
Yeah, understood. Understood.
I'll leave it at that. I'll save that for another time for us to chop at the bits.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe off the air we'll have that conversation.
Sure. Yeah. You want to know all the explicitives.
Yes.
Hi, Mom. She's probably watching that.
How much does this weather affect the Kansas City game? It's going to be dry, but it's going to be about 16 degrees at kickoff. So what does?
No, it don't affect Kansas City. Kansas City plays in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I don't even think it affects Cincinnati. Because Cincinnati is they're in Snow Alley, what I call.
Yeah.
It's like it's just like they went up to the other snow game. Nobody is. I'm not going to feel sorry for either team. They play in it, and they also play in it. So it actually should be made up for a good game. That's why they put it at prime time.
Yeah. It is the 6:30 game. So the Eagles are at 3. Against San Francisco. So it's about 45 minutes away. We're getting close now. It's starting to fill up a little bit here more.
We're starting to get a few people in there.
Yeah, it was busy early. We had a little lull, and now it's starting to fill up again. The entire bar was full a moment ago.
I think the people from early were just coming in to get a full meal.
Get their pregame in.
Get their pregame in. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the professionals are now here.
Yeah. Get the bacon and eggs in.
Yeah. The professionals are now here. We got people at the bar trying to buy Hollis shots, Mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why not?
He's a man of the people.
Yes, I'm a man about town. This is the same.
All right, so you like Cincinnati in this game then, actually?
A little bit. It's kind of like it's one of those. It's like from last year I had them for sure, just because of all the hype that was going in. But it's a little less hype going in this time, and I think they're starting to, when they start to chatter a little bit.
Fool themselves.
Yeah, I think they're starting to chatter a little bit. So this is where I think the Kansas City Chiefs possibly will knock them off their ledge. And so it's just like when someone asked me, it's like when the Birds win, do we care if we playing Andy Reid? Would you be pulling for Andy? I was like, hell no. I'm not pulling for Andy. He's not the Eagles coach.
Oh, it certainly would make for a great storyline, though, if it's Chiefs-Eagles next week.
Yeah, we tomahawked them and said we got the next one.
Yeah.
We totally throttled them, kick them right in the neck. Right in the neck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fake mustache this.
All right, so we are live here at the Mudhen. We're here for another 45 minutes or so, right up to game time with the Eagles. And great spot to watch the game. Terrific food here, all the craft beers. Hollis's favorite, the Hero Boy,
with a whisper of cinnamon.
With a whisper of cinnamon.
Right there.
And they have that on tap. And again, that was supposed to be a seasonal beer. And I think just because of what you've done to drive this thing, they've kept it on the menu. They've kept it on the drink menu.
I've driven the Hero Boy to glory.
That's right. So maybe it'll be a permanent addition to the draft beer list here at the Mudhen. That's right. That's right. All right, so this is Reality Check, the ultimate Eagles pregame show. We are live at the Mudhen. I'm Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas, Mark Hunter, our on-site producer, engineer, director, do-it-all guy.
Yeah.
And Norm Donahue back at the studio.
Norm.
And all the guys, all the people that help make this tick, especially the great people here at the Mudhen. We're up against the break. We'll be back right after this on 98.7 The Coast. Back live at the Mudhen Brewery. I'm Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran. And we are here till 3 o'clock.
With my hero boy with the
your hero
whisper
boy.
of cinnamon.
Yeah, and this is a different kind now.
I don't know if I'm supposed to. I don't want to get Kenny in trouble.
You don't want to get Kenny in trouble. You're right.
This is delicious batch of. They put some in a bourbon barrel or something in there.
Okay.
He got me a whisper.
Little taste.
A little taste.
Just a little taste.
He told me to be careful with it, though.
Be careful with it. Is right. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the water for now.
Man, that's delicious.
It's a long day, though. You know.
No, I don't. I'm not, it's a marathon. He's drinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Mark's drinking Coke.
Is that Pepsi?
He's got to handle all the right buttons, so he's
just a bit outside. I don't know how they can be laying off these pitches. No.
One thing I wanted to go over here,
Okay.
I don't know how much it makes a difference at this time of year, but Eagles have an extra day here than San Francisco, and obviously San Francisco's flying all the way east. How much of a difference does that make?
Makes a tremendous difference.
Yeah.
That was the other part too. It's like they just went through an emotional game, an emotional and physically taxing game versus the Cowboys. That's a rivalry that's been the catch was made in that game.
Yes.
And everything. So you had everybody there and everybody expecting the Cowboys to win, and you got a rookie. And you know the defense put the team on their back. Is the defense going to be able to do that this week?
Right.
I think we have better all-around players than what they faced last week. And so it's going to be, and then you have to fly across country.
Right.
In one day.
So San Francisco would have flown yesterday, right?
Yes, they flew yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they make concessions and fly on the Friday, but some teams just
And then they would have to have their walkthrough somewhere here.
Well,
Or would they not do one?
Friday, they probably would have it at the hotel.
Right.
At their hotel.
Yeah.
If they flew in Friday, they probably would have had it at their hotel. But something tells me they just waited till the last minute, like a lot of teams do, because they don't. Sometimes you don't feel like it makes a difference, and it kind of does it sometimes. If it's in mid-season, it's cool to do, just get that extra day out, and it depends on. And you kind of make those type of concessions earlier in the season because you know what's coming up. So you try to make it as comfortable as possible for the players.
So speaking of comfort, on the plane.
Right. I have a whole row.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Obviously, there's some very large men that are going on these flights. So how is the seating on a flight that you take to an away game?
It depends on how far the away game is.
Right.
As well as like when it's just a regular away game, like a 2 or 3 hour flight. I'll get a row. But if nobody's sitting right next to me, nobody's sitting right next on me.
Right.
But on the longer flights, you get the jumbo, what we call the jumbo jet,
right,
where you make your session so you can pretty much lay down. And then you also have the doctors on there and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So just in case somebody wants to become part of the Ivy League because of cramps and stuff.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
They make sure that we're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so what time? What if San Francisco flew yesterday? It probably would have been right after their walkthrough.
If they didn't do it right after their walkthrough, they probably flew over, and then once they probably did the proverbial flyover. Everybody gets themselves together, and then they give them their shorts and stuff, and they come down and do a walkthrough just to get the blood flowing.
Like in a ballroom or something.
Yeah, just in a ballroom.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they do it together, and sometimes they do it separately.
Gotcha.
So, the more intense teams do it together, and it's almost like a damn practice. I've been on both ends of the spectrum, where it's an intense coach, and you go through the walkthrough, and it's like a damn practice. But then I've also done with the laid-back coaches where they do it, and you're just pretty much trying to get the blood flowing and they get the game plan in your mind again.
Yeah, I guess if you're going that serious on the day before a game at this time of year, then probably didn't prepare properly, right?
I know.
Yeah.
It's like it's like if you're going that intensely before the game, you probably didn't prepare like you're supposed to.
Super Bowl Sunday, so there's 2 weeks in between.
Right.
There's been some people that have said, why don't they move that to Saturday? So a lot of people are off on Sunday, and that type of thing. And I don't know if and I guess the NFL needs it because they have so many events scheduled over the weekend.
Right.
I've always thought that it would make better sense to have it on Saturday night. But
that is pretty cool though. That would be pretty cool. I never thought of it because it's like I've only been in one, and then most of the time I'm like kicking it when all the other ones
Yeah.
I've been just like kicking it around, and then when they have it on Super Bowl Sunday, it's just like
yeah.
Because by the time we get to it, it's like I've been through the ringer a little bit.
Well,
Been
that's what I mean.
partying,
Yeah,
burning the candle on both ends.
And I think sometimes that's why we're more important with the that the conference championship games are like kind of it. It's almost like in some ways the Super Bowl's a little anticlimactic. I mean, not when you're playing it, of course.
Not when you're playing it.
I'm saying for the fans, it's like
okay.
this is the big day. Like, and then your team gets there, and you see all the pageantry for 2 weeks and all that stuff.
But no. The town wants that damn parade like nobody's
you're right.
business.
You're right.
It's like in the pageantry leading up to this particular game. It's like you getting to the top. As fans, we're getting to the top of the mountain.
Right.
Now it's like we get almost there. It's like the players can't look up, but the fans can.
Right.
Like, and the fans are looking forward to more because I think most businesses are probably going to be closed tomorrow.
In downtown Philadelphia, they're hoping that their businesses are still there. There might be too much partying going on there.
As I told you, the police were making concessions when I was driving through downtown yesterday.
Yeah, and I think they said they were going to have a lot of staff on today. And I think they said that depending on how the game was going, they were actually going to start closing streets down in the third quarter.
Well,
because they were anticipating in case the Eagles are blowing them out or whatever, people might start partying early.
Trying to migrate early. Yeah. It's because me living in that area.
Yeah.
It was like they from 8th Street on down, from 8th Street to 20th Street up to the Art Museum. They're closing those streets.
Yeah, that's incredible.
You had to make concessions to get home.
Yeah. Now, when you played for the Eagles, where did you live in town? Did you live close to where you are now?
Delaware County.
Oh, you were in Delaware County?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like right past the airport. It was the easiest place to get in and out of.
Yeah.
And then to get to work. I tried to stay as close to work as possible.
Yeah.
I didn't relish the thought of paying $5 to go to work every day.
Yeah.
I'm not paying to go to work, but and then you stay on the Philly side because that's where the people are.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's practical.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it's practical.
And it's right by the airport as well. So anytime we were flying out and stuff, I was able to go right there to our tarmac and stuff, and be in there like swimwear.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you has nothing to do with today's game, but I was interested. What happens during the bye week? Like how many? Do you get that full week off, or you go in? Don't you go in Monday, Tuesday, or Monday at least? Or how's that work? How's the bye week work? How much time do they give you off?
You don't really get any time off.
No.
You get ready. You just get yourself ready, and you start working on things. And you get a lot of time. You get most of the time to make concessions for your family and stuff that's going to be down there. It's like you kind of use that week as not only like a working out week and stuff, but to get everything ready because the week leading up to the game, you don't want any distractions.
Yeah.
It's like it's probably paramount that they have that week because you got all the ticket requests, all the people that you want to come to the game, all the family, the hotels and stuff, all those type of arrangements that you have to make. It's like you make them the week before. So when you get down to wherever it is that you're going to be, Arizona this time, then you don't have to make any of those concessions, and you don't have to worry about anything. Let people know that during this time you will be practicing, and you will not be taking calls for any type of problems that arise. So,
and from a human side, how hard is that? Because you kind of have
hard.
You have to shut out family even.
Well, you have to shut some people down because some people feel like they deserve a free ticket.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
You're like, yeah.
So
when was the last time I seen you?
So I had a friend of mine who played that I grew up with, played Major League Baseball for 10 years.
Okay.
For the Detroit Tigers, and he told me a story one time. He said he had to get because obviously there was no interleague then, so or at least in the beginning of his career anyway. So the Tigers never would have rotated through Philly. So a lot of times guys would go down and see him in Baltimore.
Right.
And he told me one time when I saw him down there, he said, I had to get 42 tickets to last night's game and only 20 guys showed up. But if I didn't get the 42 tickets and everybody showed up, I would have been the bad guy if guys got shut out. So he was ticked about that. He was ticked about that.
Well,
He said
because everybody
Yeah.
depends on you and they depend on you to come through.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes in your life that you've depended on them and they've let you down.
yeah, yeah, no,
But
no
it's
doubt.
it's not about counting. You just do what you can. If you can make it happen, make it happen.
Right.
But they have to understand that if you cannot make it happen, they cannot be pissed at you by any stretch of the means.
Exactly. No doubt about it. What is one area of this game here today with the Eagles and 49ers that you think is important, whether it's a matchup or whatever it might be, that maybe hasn't been talked about? Is there a key matchup in there or a key theme to this game that maybe
That hasn't been talked about.
yeah.
I think they've been talking about the 49ers defense, but they've yet to mention the part about getting beat over the top by multiple really good receivers.
Yeah.
And I think the other part too is that nobody's talked about a defense really making Brock Purdy earn it. I mean, when I say truly earn it, it's like not giving up the little cheap runs and the little cheap stuff, all the little cheap extra stuff that he's been able to get away with. I call it cheap, but it's been their bread and butter, and he's been able to handle some business in doing it, but not giving those concessions, but with a really good defense.
Speaking of defense, one of the guys who's been really good as an Eagle, and when they got him, there was some chatter that maybe he was a little washed up. But Darius Slay's been everything he's been everything, and he gets beat once in a while, as they all do.
Yeah, everybody.
But
He got short-term memory. You have that short memory.
If you're an Eagles fan, you have to be very happy with what he's given the franchise.
Well, you look at that, but you also look at Bradbury. Look at Bradbury. Then you also look at CJ Gardner. We got most of those guys. We got them from somewhere else, and we build ourselves a quality secondary. And as you remember, we were talking earlier, while Anthony Harris was up and Avonte Maddox is inactive, so that's probably why one of the reasons why he's up. When you look at what you're speaking of, it's kind of I guess it's about the field general. Jalen Hurts is like everybody wants to play with the guy, and he makes you want to play. He makes you want to play better, and it's just like I don't know. But if you look at this is for the Chris Sims. I'm Chris Sims.
Yeah.
Not Phil Sims. Chris Sims.
It's Chris Sims. Yeah.
It's like if you look at the way the team played with Jalen versus with Gardner Minshew.
Right.
It's like they want. It seems like sometimes people ask the question, well, why are they catching his passes, or why are they going all off him? Because he's a better general. It's like they like him more. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like maybe that guy's a jerk or something, and he's not leading properly. It's probably like something real small to us, but it's just like basic respect. And I don't think with Gardner Minshew, like he always talks about he wants to start. Yeah, cool. I was like, then everybody was making all of the concessions. Like this team will run the same with Gardner Minshew, Chris Sims. And it didn't. And if you look at it, you can see everybody elevating their play when Jalen is there, because he makes them want to play better.
Well, I think it's telling when I know one of the stories it's kind of gotten a little famous now is that, at some point, I guess it was Jason Kelsey went to Jalen Hurts and said, "This is your team now.
Right.
Take it over."
Yeah.
And that had to be important for him to hear that from a guy like that.
Oh yeah, especially from a guy who's already won one,
right?
And who's revered in this town as much as Kelsey is, and the tenure that Kelsey has to turn it over like that to a young kid, you have to be let's see, and it's like you don't have to. It's not so much about being humble. It's about knowing what it takes to win, and it takes a leader to win. And you can't always lead from the offensive defensive line.
Right.
You need somebody who's always touching the ball, who's our leader, who's out there in front. You need him to take over.
How much in terms of I got to think that, and it seems that way when you watch. And my eyes are untrained in this area, but the game seems to have slowed down significantly for Jalen Hurts, and that makes a big difference. And it helps with the decision making.
Well, yeah, it helps. It helps a lot, and I think it comes from his study and his work just in the off season. And not in that, it was a funny. I saw this video one time, and it was really funny. And it was actually of John Morant, and he was walking. He had Shannon Sharp's criticism playing, and it's just like I guess he was like not listening to the noise. Well, you are listening to the noise.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like Jalen Hurts is listening to the noise, but he's also picking and taking out all the criticisms, and he's humbling himself to know that all of it's not noise. Some of the criticism is constructive, and he's taken it and he's made his game. He's elevated his game to be better, that much better. He's winning, and he's made all the concessions to be a better passer, to read defenses better, and to know when to say when.
And we don't think Brock Purdy's there yet.
Well, Brock Purdy is only in his first year,
right.
So it's kind of hard to get there in your first year.
Yeah.
It's like this is going to be a quality test for the Brockster, because I'm not going to call him Brocky.
No.
No, by any stretch of the means. So it's going to be a quality test for him. So yeah, I think our defense is up to put him to the task, though.
Yeah, I think that probably the most important unit in this game, in my opinion, is probably San Francisco's offensive line.
Yeah,
because if they can't block the Eagles, which they might not be able to do,
I don't think they can. There's too many pitchers on that line, and the young guys are penalized way too much, pre-snap and after snap too. The kid I was telling you about, Bedford.
Yes, Buford.
Yeah, Buford. Buford and Banks are penalized a lot.
Yeah.
Pre-snaps and for holding calls. So
and
at one point, Buford was leading the league in holding calls.
Yeah.
So I think the kid from the Cowboys ended up passing him up. So
I mean, the numbers bear it out through sacks, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Eagles defensive line, best in football.
Currently, yes.
Yeah.
I think with the depth that we have, the quality depth, not just depth.
Not just guys to run out there.
Not just guys to run out there, but the quality depth we have, yes. Right now, yes.
Yeah.
When we had 70 sacks, we broke an NFL record.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Marv
says it all.
Marv Levy said, "Depth is great until you have to use it."
Yeah. True. All right, we're up against the break here. We're coming back after this with our final segment. We're live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas. This is Reality Check. Yeah, and the Hero Boy
with a whisper of cinnamon.
Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. And it's a great place to watch the game. They'll have the sound on for the game right as we go off the air a couple of minutes before 3. So stop on by the Mudhen here on Rio Grande Avenue in Wildwood. And we'll be back with our final segment right after this, 98.7 The Coast. Okay, back live at the Mudhen Brewery in Wildwood. Brian Kniff alongside Hollis Thomas. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show, and our last segment here. And kind of starting to feel that nervous energy before the start of the Eagles game, don't you think?
Do you need to go run 5 miles?
No, I'm not going to run 5 miles. I'm not going to run 5 miles. Not right now. Yeah, but yeah, you can start to feel it now, and make sure you stop by here. It's a great place to watch the game if you're looking for something last minute. Come on by, and they'll have the sound on for for the game, and you know, they've got 4 TVs in this big room, I believe.
Yes,
and they got a big one in the back garage room, and good sight lines to see the TVs here at the Mudhen, and. You know, I do want to say, Hollis, it's been a fun few weeks. I mean, we had that one bye week, obviously, but we did right before the last regular season game, and then last week's game, and today, and it's been great being here at the Mudhen. Certainly has.
Appreciate having you. Good things.
Yeah, it's been
tremendous.
Been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun here. So, all right. So, you don't often see a team in the NFL win 12 straight football games, and San Francisco's done it.
Yes, they have. They have. They've done it even after Jimmy Garoppolo went down. I think a lot of people thought that they pretty much wrote them off, but they were able to pull together as a team and handle business, and they're here now. So now it's our problem.
Yes.
Now they're our problem. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think this is a quality test for Jonathan Gannon as well.
Yes, and I know you're not a huge fan.
Not a huge fan, but when everybody starts talking about the numbers, yes, the numbers are there, and I could bitch and moan about it being because of the personnel, but it's worked to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And while I'm not totally wrong, because now you know what. I'm just saying this is a moment where he needs to step up. It's a step up moment from here. If anybody wants me to eat any of the words in which I've said, if he steps up right here and in the next game, then I can eat my words.
Well, not only that, but it probably puts him in the conversation to get a head coaching job if he steps up these next couple games.
Well, yeah, he's definitely going to get. If he steps up these next couple of games and puts out something quality. It's like because I know I'm not the only one that thought that the third and 30, which was
unacceptable.
Yeah, it was unacceptable. That was unacceptable. I was like, I know I'm not the only one, and everybody's like sweeping it by the wayside because winning smothers all.
Yes.
It's a fragrance that kills all odors.
Yes. Still don't understand how you don't send an extra guy on 3rd and 30 and just make him throw it a little quicker.
I don't know.
Receiver can't get 30 yards down the field if you make him throw it quick.
Yeah, that's the way I think as well. But it's just like small moments like that, and people say you're nitpicking. It's like, no, I'm not nitpicking. It's been the same thing the entire time. But we have stepped up in different moments, and in moments of the season more times than not. And I feel like it's still due to the personnel in which we got. But it's like when I deploy a defense, I don't care what personnel I got out there. I'm looking to put pressure on to make pressure bust pipes and to get that team off the field. Get the opposing team off the field. I'm not looking to give up any 14 or 15 play drives, anything like that after my offense has gone out there and exacted their dominance. I need to get the ball right back to them so they can continue that.
Is the 2.5 or 3 point line, does that surprise you a little bit? I actually think it should be higher.
No, it doesn't surprise me. It mainly doesn't surprise me because that's the disrespect we've been getting this entire time. And that's just the way it's been the entire season. The entire season. And I was like, man, 18-week season, 17 games played. We're 14-3.
Well, what I don't get is there's this narrative out there that the Eagles played an easy schedule.
The narrative's out there. But then when we played the Cowboys when they were talking about a quarterback controversy with Cooper Rush, and we put him on notice. We played the Vikings when they were talking about the Vikings being and they still, after we beat the Vikings, they were talking about the Vikings being the better than us. It's like, so I don't know what more we need to do besides win it all. I told you, just win it all and put them on notice.
Well, not only that, but the other part of it to me is that, you know, the way the season played out,
Right.
the NFC East was probably the best division in football.
Yeah.
And not only did they win that division, but they also won enough games that they got the #1 overall seed.
Correct.
So that narrative to me is just incorrect.
Yeah, and as right now we're in a time where we just listen to people who accomplish nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We listen to the Dan Ostrowskis. I'm probably saying his name wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the Tony Romos, to the Marcus Spears, to the Stephen A's, all those people who well, actually Stephen A was on our side.
I actually like Stephen A.
Yeah, he's on our
Stephen
side.
A hates the Dallas.
Yeah, everybody hates Dallas. It's like it puts the funniest thing though. I haven't seen Michael Irvin in quite some time.
Yes, there's not. When my father and I joke about this, when Dallas loses a big game, Stephen A. Smith is must-see TV the next day.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because he's going to talk bad to Michael Irvin, and it's always great to see that.
Okay, give us a well. Here's what I'll say. This is my thought on this. You tell me if I'm in the right direction here.
You're in the right,
So,
in the right wheelhouse.
Yes. So the way I look at this is, I think there's a lot of similarities between San Francisco and the Eagles.
Right.
However, what I think is that while San Francisco has a very good defensive front, just like the Eagles, whether you believe the Eagles are better or not, and I do, you do,
Right.
but even if you say they're even, I would say that the Eagles' offensive line is much better than San Francisco's, and I would also say that the Eagles have obviously an edge at the quarterback position in terms of experience and accomplishments to this point, and that's why I think the Eagles win the football game. You tell me, am I in the right?
You're in the right wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yes, you're in the right. My thing with well, you did you want my prediction now? Or what?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, my prediction was 31-17 Birds, and it's mainly because I think everything's going to rear its ugly head. I feel like we're going to deploy our defense. We have a really good defense, but the depth and the quality of depth on our defensive side, I feel like we're the #1 team, and we've showed and proven that. I feel like we still have so much more to prove. Everybody's expecting us to lose anyway. They're expecting us to falter. So it's one of those things where I think we're gonna. It's not going to be as close as anybody thinks it is, because I think that we make Brock Purdy seem like Mr. Irrelevant.
Well, you touched on it earlier too, and I think that the game that you played your whole life is a very physical game. But you touched on it earlier. That was a very physically demanding game that San Francisco played last week, and the Eagles did not have that. And the Eagles have an extra day, and San Francisco had to fly east.
Yep.
All those things are factors.
Yes, they are, and it doesn't come up. It's not going to come about until people sit back and think about it. It's like, man, they did have a rough road, but that's what happens when you're not the #1 seed.
Yes. Yeah. So they're showing the scene at Lincoln Financial Field, and everybody getting in there, and there won't be an empty seat.
Won't be an empty seat in the house. I think standing room sold out as well.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of people tailgating outside that won't make it in. They'll just watch it on a TV out there.
Yeah, in a tailgating parking lot. Yes.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting night again if the Eagles win, and I just remember from last time what the scene was in the city, and it was tremendous.
Well, yeah, the last time, what was I at?
2017. So you were.
I was here. I was in the city, but I think I was with Charles Barkley.
Were you?
Oh God, yeah.
We'll need another hour to go over those stories.
There's a lot of alcohol going on.
And probably could fill 3 hours, but
Barkley,
2 hours worth can't be.
Charles Barkley and Freddie Mitchell.
4th and 26, Freddie Mitchell.
Yes, 4th and 26, Freddie Mitchell.
I actually met him once in Atlantic City.
This is my guy at Freddie School.
Yeah. He was. He was. I was surprised he didn't get. I was surprised he didn't get picked up by anybody when the Eagles got rid of him.
Right.
So you weren't.
Not really.
Okay.
Him and Troy Vincent had a bit of an argument during practice, and Troy Vincent told him, he said, "I will be in this league long after you're gone."
He was right.
Yeah, he was right. Freddie didn't go anywhere. Troy Vincent went to the Bills, and then the then Redskins, who are Commanders now. Played a couple of years at each one of those places, and then moved into the executive offices.
Yeah, and he's still in the NFL.
Yeah, but he was still playing. His thing was he would still be playing long before, after Freddie, and he was.
He was. He's absolutely right. Yeah. He knew.
Yeah, he knew.
He knew. All right, so we think we know. We think we know the Eagles are going to win this game today.
Yes.
So it's so we're going to wrap it up here at the Mudhen as Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show, comes to an end. We've been here. It's been a great 3 hours. It's been a great 3 shows that we've done together, and hopefully the Eagles will keep it going. Hollis is going to hang out for a little bit. He does have to get back up to the city, but if you want to stop by, say hello. He will take some pictures, sign some autographs for at least a little bit before he gets on the road. And we want to thank Norm back at the studio, all the sponsors of the show. Thank Mark Hunter, and of course everyone here at the Mudhen for bringing us in and making this happen.
Yes.
So this has been Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. For Hollis Thomas, I'm Brian Kniff. That'll do it from here. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.